Chapter 1. I'm finally out. David Chen breathed in the fresh air outside and shouted with all his might. Behind David is Horrendal Prison. He stayed here for 3 years and was finally released today after serving his sentence. Hey, I don't know what happened to your parents. David carried a ragged canvas bag and hurried to the house. His parents had never seen him once in 3 years, and now David was very worried about them. On the way home, he kept looking at the bronze ring he was wearing. The ring is engraved with a lifelike dragon, and there is a command word at the position of the dragon head. This ring was given to him by his fellow inmate Irvin Lau when he was released from prison today. This Irvin is a very strange person. He talks about it all day long, saying that he is the master of the dragon sect, who knows astronomy and geography, and is proficient in forensic medicine, which can bring people back to life. Everyone regarded this Irvin as a lunatic and didn't want to pay attention to him. Only David would chat with him when he had nothing to do, and he even gave him some of his meals. Irvin told David some strange things every day about Dragon Sect, about Dragon Island, things David had never heard of. Later, the old master asked David to accompany him to meditate and practice the exercises every day. David was also bored, so he learned along with him. But who knows, 3 years later, David actually followed the old Irvin to practice his skills and medical skills. Just when he was released from prison today, Irvin handed the ring to him and told him that, on July 15th this year, go to an unnamed island in the East China Sea no matter what. As long as he arrives on the island, show the ring, someone will pick him up, and then he will have a big chance. Because he did learn a lot from Irvin, David believed in Irvin's words and agreed, but there are still several months before July 15th. Before he knew it, David had already walked to the door of the house, looking at the dilapidated house in front of him. His face was complicated. He didn't know what happened to his parents in the past 3 years. Because of his impulsiveness, his parents would have been under a lot of pressure. Thinking back 3 years ago, David's eyes are still flashing with anger. 3 years ago, he and his girlfriend Delia Geng had reached the point of talking about marriage. The two were college classmates and had been talking for 2 years. But one day, on the night of sending Delia home, the two met a drunk Jordan. This Jordan is a famous second-generation rich in Horrendal, and he has done all the bad things. As a result, when Jordan saw that Delia was beautiful, he became ill-intentioned and started to act on Delia. As a well-known local rich second generation, Jordan didn't even look at David at all. Seeing his girlfriend being insulted, David went crazy, picked up a brick and smashed it on Jordan's head. The results are predictable. The powerful and influential Jordan was beaten. Of course, he would not let it go, and directly called the police and arrested David. Sentenced to 3 years in prison for intentional injury. It was not until today that David was released. After hesitating for a long time, David gently knocked on the door. Who is it? The door opened, and an old woman with white hair and a rickety figure stuck her head out, groping forward with one hand. Who is knocking on the door? The old woman's eyes were closed, and it was obvious that she couldn't see anything, so she was blind. When David looked at the old woman in front of him, he was stunned. His eyes were wide open, and his whole body was shaking slightly. He couldn't believe that this old woman with white hair and a wrinkled face in front of him was actually his mother, Barbara Tang. In just 3 short years, how did his mother become like this? Mom, it's me, I'm David. He stepped forward to support his mother and shouted excitedly. David? Is it really you? Barbara touched David's face with both hands, and the tears couldn't stop flowing. Mom, it's me, it's me. David's eyes were also red. Mom, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? David didn't understand his mother was fine when he left. Why did she become like this in just 3 years? Hey, it's a long story, come on in. Barbara pulled David into the room. Looking at the humble room, almost empty, David was dumbfounded. Although their family is not rich, but his father has a formal job, so it is still possible to achieve a well-off life. But how has the family become like this now? Mom, what happened at home? When David saw the appearance of the family, he asked his mother. Hey. Barbara sighed. After you left. Barbara recounted the matter from start to end. It turned out that after David was imprisoned, the Shao family did not intend to let them go and demanded compensation of 1 million. In the end, there was no way. David's parents sold his marriage house and borrowed a lot of money, but they still couldn't collect enough. In the end, the remaining 300,000, they could only pay the Shao family in installments. For this reason, David's father's job was also gone, and he could only make a living by sweeping the streets. While his mother washed her face with tears all day long, and her eyes got blinded by crying. This is why David was imprisoned for 3 years, but his parents never saw him once. Listening to his mother's remarks, David slowly clenched his fists, and there was a majestic killing intent in the depths of his eyes. He didn't expect this Shao family to be so cruel. This is to kill their family. Mom, doesn't that Delia care about you at all? David asked with a puzzled face. That Delia is his wife who is about to go through the door, and he is imprisoned for that Delia. It is impossible for Delia to look at her parents like this and be indifferent, right? Oh, don't mention it, the Geng family doesn't care, even the dowry we gave. I wanted to come back, but they didn't give it. They said it wasn't their fault that they couldn't get married. It's because you're in jail, so the dowry won't be returned. Your dad asked them for a theory, and they were beaten up by their family. The more Barbara spoke, the more bitter her heart became, and in the end she couldn't stop her tears. Chapter 2. Then the Geng family is really like this? David's brows were tightly knit together. He couldn't believe that Delia was really like this. When he was arrested, Delia cried and said that she would wait for him to come out, and the two are getting married. How did it become like this? David decided to ask Delia to clarify. But at this moment, the door was suddenly slammed with force, so strong that it almost knocked the door off. Hearing the knock on the door, Barbara's face suddenly turned pale, and he could see that she was very scared. Mom, who is this? Seeing Barbara's expression, David asked with a frown. Don't worry about it, go back to the room quickly, don't come out. Barbara pushed David into the room and opened the door nervously. The door had just opened, and a bald guy with 4 or 5 tattoos and a fierce face walked in. How is the money prepared? The bald head looked at Barbara and asked. Brother Bald, everything is ready? Barbara kept nodding, reaching out and groping to take out a cloth bag from the corner. At this time, many neighbors in the neighborhood also gathered around, looking at the bald-headed people. They all hid far away. These guys come to ask for money every month. They really want to kill people. No, there is no law at all. Shoo, keep your voice down. These guys are all sent by the Shao family to collect money on a regular basis. A few neighbors hid aside and talked angrily, but no one dared to care. At this moment, the bald head grabbed the cloth bag in Barbara's hand, opened it, and glanced at it. What the H3LO is this? The bald head frowned and turned the bag over. There were some old banknotes scattered all over the floor. There were 150, 1 or 2, and even many more. Gross coins. Can these junk be worth 10,000? The bald head asked Barbara loudly. Brother Bald, it's exactly 10,000, we've counted it, you can count it if you don't believe me. Barbara accompanied her smile, nodded and bowed. F.Art. The bald head kicked Barbara's abdomen, and she directly hit the ground. Let me count? I don't have the time, so give me 100 bills. Mom. David rushed out of the back room and hurriedly helped Barbara up. The cold eyes swept across the bald people, and the eyes flashed with coldness. The bald-headed people were stunned for a moment, and they all shuddered under David's eyes. David, who told you to come out, hurry into the room, don't worry. Barbara desperately pushed David into the room. Mom, since I'm out, let me handle this matter, you sit down. David helped Barbara sit on the stool, then turned around and looked at the bald head coldly. The bald head glanced at David, and said with a sneer, Isn't this the guy who hit Master Shao with a brick and served 3 years in prison? I didn't expect him to come out. It's really time to come out. Today is the big day for your girlfriend and young Master Shao to get married. Isn't the ex-boyfriend going to participate? Green Hat Turtle? Haha. The bald head and a few men all burst into laughter. What did you say? David frowned, his eyes full of disbelief. I said that the woman you are in jail for her is going to marry young Master Xiao today. The wedding will be held at the Regal Hotel, but it's luxurious. Why don't you go take a look? The bald head looked at David with a sneering expression. David's brows furrowed even tighter, his hands clenched tightly into fists. Behind him, Barbara's face changed, and she was shaking with anger. After all, her son was imprisoned because of that Delia, but she didn't expect this woman to turn her head and marry her enemy. You kneel down and apologize to my mother, and I can spare your life. A cold glow flashed in David's eyes, and the killing intent rose from his body. The temperature in the room suddenly dropped a bit, and the laughter of the bald people stopped abruptly. After a while, the bald head reacted and said angrily, "What did you say? You asked me to kowtow and apologize." With at the bald head, he smashed David with a punch. With David's small figure, this punch can make David fall to the ground. But who knows, when the bald head just rushed up, David kicked out. The bald man suddenly fell to the ground clutching his crotch, sweating profusely in pain, and screaming constantly. "David, you can't fight anymore." Listening to the wailing of the bald head, Barbara hurriedly shouted at David. David was imprisoned because of the attack. It just came out. If he was sent in because of the fight, would it still be worth it? "Kill him for me, kill him." The bald head roared and stared at David viciously. Several bald men rushed towards David. David glanced at his mother, his hands suddenly flicked, and several white lights flashed. And all those people felt their legs numb, and they all fell to the ground. This time, the bald head was startled and looked at David in disbelief. A chill came out of his heart. The neighbors outside saw the scene in front of them, their eyes widened, and some couldn't believe it. "Apologize to my mother." David's icy voice sounded again. The bald head hesitated for a moment, but seeing David's cold eyes, he could only kneel on the ground. "Sorry." The bald head and a few of his subordinates began to apologize. "Go away." David waved his hand. He didn't want to kill in front of the neighbors and his mother. If he wanted to kill these little gangsters, it was just a matter of snapping his fingers. The bald head was supported by his subordinates and stood up, gave David a vicious look, and they limped away. Obviously he was not convinced, but David was not afraid of the bald head's revenge. Chapter 3. Mom, are you okay? Those people are gone. After leaving Bald, David asked Barbara with concern. "Hey, you said you just came out. What did you provoke him to do?" Barbara complained to David. "Quickly pick up the money on the ground. We have saved it all." David squatted down and collected the scattered banknotes on the ground. "Mom, I'll just make money in the future. You and Dad have a good rest, and I'll find a way to make your eyes look good to you." David collected the money and handed the bag to Barbara. "You can do it if you have the heart," Barbara said, and even started to cry. "You are back now, and Mom is relieved. If I hadn't been thinking about you these past few years, Mom would have died." Looking at his mother, David's eyes began to turn scarlet. But David couldn't bear it any longer and punched the only table. But the table was smashed to pieces in an instant. "Xiao family, Gung family, I will definitely make you pay the price, definitely." The anger on David's face was raging. Seeing to feel David's anger, Barbara hurriedly said, "David, you must not cause trouble. Now that you are out, find a job, everything will be fine." "Mom, don't worry, I know what to do, I'll go out." David comforted his mother, and then walked out of the house. He was going to go to Delia to ask what was going on. After walking out of the house, David was still full of anger. But just as he was crossing the road, suddenly a red Porsche rushed over from the road, and the speed was very fast, directly knocking David into the air. But David's body fell heavily to the ground. If he hadn't practiced with the old master, it would have killed him. Who can drive without eyes? David was originally angry, but when he went out, he was knocked out, and he was even more angry. How the H3L do you walk without eyes? Just as David scolded angrily and was about to stand up, there was a sudden scream. Saw a girl getting off the Porsche. The girl was wearing a white dress and walking on a pair of high-heeled shoes. She was very beautiful, but at this time she was looking at David angrily. David frowned, and the body that wanted to stand up lay back again. Who of us doesn't have eyes? It's obviously you who bumped into me. You are a pretty girl, why do you smell like a tea when you talk? David said to the girl without showing weakness. You dare to scold me? The girl glared at David, suddenly raised her foot and kicked him over. The high-heeled shoes the girl wears are like sharp knives. If they hit a body, there will be a blood hole. Sonia, stop. Seeing that the girl was about to kick David, a middle-aged man opened the car door and got out of the back seat. The middle-aged man has an aura of indifference and self-arrogance. At first glance, he looks like a person who has been in a high position for a long time. It's just that the middle-aged man at this time was a little pale, and his breathing was short. After shouting the sentence, he held the car door and gasped continuously. Dad, why did you come down? After the girl saw the middle-aged man, she hurriedly ran over and asked the middle-aged man. Let's go to the hospital quickly, don't waste time. The middle-aged man said to the girl. The girl nodded, walked to David again, took out a wad of money from her bag, and threw it on him. There are 10,000 here, quickly take the money and leave, we are in a hurry. David didn't go to get the money, but stood up and glanced at the middle-aged man not far away and said, You don't have to go to the hospital, it's too late. After David finished speaking, he turned around and was about to leave. He could see that this middle-aged man was already in danger, and he couldn't make it to the hospital at all. Stop! The girl stopped directly in front of David and glared angrily. What do you mean? Tell me clearly, or you don't want to leave. At this time, the middle-aged man also frowned and walked a few steps towards David. Your father suffers from a hidden illness. He was injured in his left lung. Within 5 minutes, he would have difficulty breathing and suffocate to death. Can you be in the hospital in 5 minutes? David calmly followed the girl and asked. You are talking nonsense, my father just has a cold. Sonia. The middle-aged man stopped the girl, and then took 2 steps toward David again, his eyes full of shock. Little brother, how did you see that my left lung is injured? I told you, but you don't understand. I'm in a hurry right now, so I don't have time to waste time with you guys. David said he was about to turn around and leave. Little brother, cough cough. The middle-aged man called David, then coughed violently, and when it calmed down a little, he immediately stepped forward and pulled David's arm. Little brother, since you can see if I get sick, it will definitely be cured. I hope my little brother can save my life, I am willing to pay any price. This is my business card. The middle-aged man took out a business card and handed it to David. Originally, David didn't want to not care, but when he saw the name on the business card, he immediately took the business card in his hand. Are you Reuben Sue, president of the Sue Group? Exactly. Reuben nodded. Suddenly, David shot at Reuben, pointing at Reuben some particular acupoints. David's speed was so fast that neither Reuben nor Sonia could react. Chapter 4. What do you want to do? Sonia hurriedly stepped forward to block Reuben, but David had already stopped at this time. However, after David hit a few acupuncture points, Reuben immediately felt that his breathing was smooth and his face was much more rosy. I only temporarily controlled your injury. It will take some time to heal. Your hidden disease needs to be slowly recuperated because of its age. David said lightly. Thank you, little brother, for your help. Thank you so much. Reuben stepped forward and grabbed David's hand excitedly, thanking him constantly. Sonia was very surprised to see that her father's face was obviously rosy and his body was much better. I shot to save you because I know that you often do good deeds, and you have donated more to than a dozen elementary schools. I did it all because of that reason. The reason why David rescued Reuben was because he knew that Reuben was a good man. If he met by chance and had no acquaintance, David would not necessarily rescue him, not to mention that Sonia had just talked badly to him and almost hit him. David is not able to save anyone. When Reuben heard this, he was a little embarrassed. What kind of good deed I have done is far from good, little brother saved my life. Just say whatever you want, now it's noon, I invite little brother to a meal at the Regal Hotel? No, I still have something to deal with. David shook his head and refused, and he still wanted to see Delia to clarify. Seeing David's refusal, Reuben was a little surprised. Must know that as the richest man in Horrendal, there are countless people who want to invite him to dinner, and those who can sit with him for dinner are all powerful people. Now he took the initiative to invite David to dinner, but David refused, which was a bit unexpected. Little brother, say we have to sit and have a meal together to express my gratitude. Reuben held David's arm tightly. David could see that Reuben desperately wanted to invite him to dinner, just wanting to know about the follow-up treatment of his illness. But seeing Reuben as sincere, David nodded and said, "Well, I'll deal with the matter first. Then I will go to the Regal Hotel to find you." Seeing David say this, Reuben released his hand. "Well, it's a deal, just call me." David nodded and left impatiently, rushing towards the Gung family. "Where's Delia? I want to see her." In front of a slightly old villa, David said to the middle-aged woman in front of him. This middle-aged woman is Delia's mother Ethelgia. If it was before, David would never have dared to speak to her in such a tone. But now after listening to his mother's remarks, David was very angry and did not act directly. Even if it is good. Ethel was wearing a cheongsam, arrogant, crossed her hands on her chest, and looked at David with disdain. "Hurry up and get out of my way, my daughter is getting married today. You are too bad here as a prisoner of labor." "Marrying?" David frowned. It seemed that what the bald head said was true. "Where is Delia? Who is she marrying? Let her come out to meet me and make it clear." David rushed towards the villa with a cold face. "Hey, you lunatic, how can you break into other people's yards casually?" Ethel pulls David desperately. But where can she compete with David's strength? The whole person was dragged into the yard by David. David was about to rush in with his eyes open. At this time, a girl in a wedding dress walked out with a gloomy face. When he saw the girl, David suddenly stopped. "Delia, what's going on? What's going on? Can you explain it to me?" David waited for his eyes angrily and questioned Delia. "David, let's go, don't come looking for me, I have decided to marry Jordan." Delia looked at David expressionlessly and said. David's eyes narrowed and his fists clenched tightly. Although he already knew it, when Delia said it herself, David's heart twitched fiercely. He was imprisoned by that Jordan, but now his girlfriend is going to marry him? This is so ironic. Suddenly, David laughed bitterly at himself. He felt that he was really too cheap. "Is that what you mean?" David looked at Delia. There was no anger on his face, and his hands slowly loosened. "Yes." Delia nodded. "I want to have a rich life, but you can't give it to me at all. And you are still a prisoner of labor reform. Even if you come out, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to support yourself. What will you support me with? For the sake of our previous relationship, you can take these hundreds of dollars and sleep on the streets of the province." After Delia finished speaking, she took out a few hundred bills from her bag and threw them on David's face. At this moment, David looked at her and gave up completely. The person in front of him was no longer his girlfriend. "You will regret this." David turned around and left without taking Delia's money. "Huh, you will regret marrying this poor ghost." Ethel spat fiercely in the back. Chapter 5. When David just walked to the door, a convoy of greetings directly blocked the way. A young man in a suit and leather shoes walked down from the float with a bouquet of flowers in his hand. This person was Jordan. Jordan was slightly taken aback when he saw David, but then he laughed out loud. "I forgot that you were released from prison today. What a coincidence. Would you like to join me in Delia's wedding?" Jordan looked at David playfully, his eyes full of ridicule. David just glanced at Jordan coldly, turned sideways and wanted to leave. He didn't want to talk nonsense with such a person. "Don't go." Jordan stopped David again. "Do you have no money to follow? It doesn't matter, you don't need to take the money, you can eat the leftovers at that time. We are holding the wedding at the Regal Hotel. If you don't come this time, I'm afraid you won't have the chance to eat there in the future." Jordan smirked at David, and even reached out and patted David's face. David knocked Jordan's hand off with all his strength. "Marry a second-hand one, there is nothing to worry about, it's all left by me." David smiled coldly. In fact, David never touched Delia at all, and he didn't even pull his hand. He said this to disgust Jordan, And to rectify that, Delia, by the way. Jordan was stunned after hearing this, and hurriedly looked at Delia. Delia told him that she never even held hands with David. What's the situation now? Seeing Jordan look over, Delia became anxious and shouted at David. David, what nonsense are you talking about? Who is left by you to play? Just your virtue. I didn't let you go. Touched. Ethel also panicked and yelled at David, David, don't eat grapes and say grapes are sour. With your virtue, how could my daughter let you touch? Jordan, don't believe his nonsense. He made it clear that he wanted to disgust you. Ethel explained to Jordan that she finally found a golden tortoise-in-law, but she couldn't be disturbed by David's words. Auntie, don't worry, I won't believe it. Jordan is not stupid, and of course he will not trust David's words. Believe it or not. David was too lazy to pay attention to Jordan, so he bypassed him and walked out. Wait a moment. Jordan stopped David. You'd better keep your mouth under control. Don't speak ill of my wife everywhere, or I'll make you look good. Jordan was afraid that David would talk nonsense everywhere and ruin the reputation of their Shao family. The mouth is on me, I can say whatever I want, just say it, you care about me? David looked at Jordan coldly, but you have to pay attention, don't lose your life one day, I don't know what happened. Looking at David's cold eyes, Jordan was in a trance for a moment, and there was a trace of fear in his heart. But just for a moment, Jordan felt that he had been humiliated, his eyes widened and he reprimanded. If you kid is not afraid of death, you can try it, then don't kneel down and beg me. Jordan's face was full of anger. If it wasn't for him getting married today, he would have given David a good look. I don't know who knelt down and begged whom. Let's wait and see. David stared at Jordan. Jordan, the time has come, let's not pay attention to this poor bay five-tard, stupid ex. Ethel gave David a look of contempt. Jordan held the flowers, and the group walked towards the house. David looked at Jordan's back, and suddenly flicked his fingers, and a silver light suddenly entered Jordan's body. Jordan shuddered obviously, but he didn't care and continued to walk into the room. I want to see if you will kneel down and beg me. A sneer appeared on the corner of David's mouth. He turned and left, heading towards the Regal Hotel. The entrance of the Regal Hotel. Reuben personally waited for David at the door, and Reuben's appearance made everyone who entered the Regal Hotel have a lot of discussion. Isn't this the richest man, Sue? He is standing at the door of the hotel, as if waiting for someone. I don't know what the other party's background is, and he could make the richest man wait for him. I heard that the eldest son of the Shao family is getting married, and the wedding will be held here. Isn't it someone who is waiting for the Shao family? It's possible, after all, the Shao family is also a wealthy family, so they should give some face. Everyone walked into the Regal Hotel talking, but Reuben was still hovering at the door, looking at his watch from time to time. His face became a little impatient. Dad, I think that kid is talking nonsense. He said that you injured your left lung, and you still have a hidden disease that is life-threatening. It's just nonsense. You just had cold and your lungs are inflamed. Don't wait, let me accompany you to the hospital. Sonia persuaded Reuben. Reuben has been waiting here for half an hour, but before David arrived, Sonia felt that David was talking nonsense. Besides, Reuben never told them that he had injured his left lung, and he had never seen this before. A situation. Sonia, there are some things you don't understand. My injury, even if I get to the hospital, it's not good at all. I have a hidden disease. It's been more than 20 years. The reason why I haven't told you is because I'm afraid you worry about. Reuben sighed and said solemnly. When Sonia heard this, her whole body became a little stupid, and she nervously took Reuben's hand. Dad, what the H3L is going on? Don't scare me, don't scare me. I've already called Dr. Sunday Call, he came right away. Sonia panicked. Since she can remember, she has never seen her mother. It was Reuben who brought her up and the two depended on each other for life. If Reuben had 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses, Sonia didn't know how to live on her own. It's a long story, but when I have time, Dad is slowly telling you. After Reuben finished speaking, he looked at his watch again, and then looked anxiously into the distance. Chapter 6. When he saw David's figure appear, Reuben instantly became excited and ran directly towards David. Little brother, you are finally here, Please come in quickly. Reuben took David's hand, and he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Mr. Sue, since I promised you, I will definitely come. David knew that Reuben was afraid of letting him go. Reuben showed a hint of embarrassment and could only smile. Little brother, please, please. Reuben kept his posture very low, which made people who came to the hotel guess David's identity after seeing it. Then Sonia saw that David's back was upright, while her father was low and low, and she was instantly furious. What's the matter with you, boy? My dad has been waiting for you at the door for more than half an hour. And you look at my dad's, the complexion is obviously getting more and more worse. Will you treat the disease? Sonia had a deep opinion on David. At first, David controlled Reuben's condition. Sonia was also surprised, thinking that David really had 2 strokes. But it didn't take long. Reuben's original rosy face became more and more ugly, which made Sonia think that David was a liar. Maybe he was cheating money. Sonia, don't be ridiculous, hurry up and apologize to the little brother. Reuben's face turned cold and he roared at Sonia. I'm not going to apologize to him. Look at his hair, he hasn't grown all of his hair. What kind of genius doctor could he be? I think he's a big liar. Sonia looked at David coldly. She felt that the reason why Reuben did not go to the doctor was because of David. Seeing that Sonia was disobedient, Reuben's face instantly flushed with anger, and his breathing began to become rapid. Cough, cough, cough. Reuben wanted to say something, but without saying a word, he began to cough violently. Dad. Sonia rushed over and supported Reuben. And Reuben coughed out a mouthful of black blood, which frightened Sonia so much that her face changed. Seeing the black blood that Reuben coughed up, David's brows instantly wrinkled. It seems that Reuben's injury is more serious than he imagined. David doesn't know how Reuben can survive such a serious injury up to now. Hurry up and help your dad to the room, David said to Sonia, who had already panicked. But Sonia was stunned and didn't move, because she didn't trust David very much. Seeing that Sonia didn't move, David frowned and said sternly, "Do you want to watch your father die?" Sonia was yelled at by David, and then she supported Reuben and walked into a box of the hotel. After entering the box, David called Reuben's pulse, and his expression became solemn. Just when David was about to treat Reuben, the box door was suddenly pushed open, and a doctor wearing glasses and a white coat walked in. "Dr. Sun, hurry up, look at my dad, he just vomited blood." After Sonia saw the person who came, she seemed to have caught a life-saving straw. "What? Let me see." Dr. Sun was startled and hurriedly opened the medicine box. "Get out of the way." Sonia pushed David aside, then supported Reuben and said to Dr. Sun, "Dr. Sun, my father's illness treatment depends on you, you must save him." At this time, Reuben was almost in a coma, and his breathing became very weak. "Don't worry, Miss Sue, I will do my best," Dr. Sun said, and began to take the pulse of Reuben. As the pulse time got longer and longer, Dr. Sun's brows became deeper and deeper. Sonia looked at Dr. Sun's appearance with a worried face and did not dare to say anything. "Ms. Sue, he injured the spleen and lungs, causing hidden diseases. This accumulated chronic disease must be managed slowly, but someone forcibly stimulated Mr. Sue's immunity. Although it seems to be effective for the time being, but this has aggravated President Sue's condition, and I'm afraid that President Sue is now in danger." "Before me, who actually treated President Sue?" Dr. Sun said solemnly. When Sonia heard this, she was instantly furious, and looked directly at David, who had just treated her father. At that time, as Dr. Sun said, her father's condition improved a lot, but didn't expect it. This killed his own father. "You liar, if my father has 3 strengths and 2 weaknesses, I will never spare you." Sonia yelled at David, her face full of anger. If it wasn't because she couldn't get away from supporting Reuben, it is estimated that Sonia would have done something to David. "Why do you call me a liar? What did I lie to your family for? If it weren't for me, your father would have been a corpse by now. It's unreasonable." David snorted coldly, disgusting Sonia very much. "A girl's family, just open her mouth and shut her mouth is a liar. How can there be a little girl's tenderness?" Sonia was furious, but she couldn't quarrel with David at this time. It was the most important thing to save her father first. "Dr. Sun, Please, think of a solution quickly, please. Sonia was about to cry in a hurry. Dr. Sun opened the medicine box, took out a black pill and stuffed it into Ruben's mouth, and then took out a pack of silver needles. In Ruben's sink, Tian Hai, and the feet were punctured in several acupoints. You are not saving people by doing this, you are harming people. David looked at Dr. Sun's acupuncture and said calmly. Dr. Sun frowned. What do you mean? Are you questioning me? Could it be that you can't do acupuncture? Acupuncture is traditional medicine. It is not like Western medicine. You can become proficient in 3 or 5 years of study. Acupuncture and moxibustion in traditional medicine may be difficult to get started without taking 10 or 8 years. It may take decades to master it. I have studied all my life, but I dare not say that I am proficient. But David looked at the age of only about 20. Even if he learned acupuncture from his mother's womb, how could he be so smart? Chapter 7. What nonsense are you talking about? I don't need you here, get out of here. Sonia was afraid that David would influence Dr. Sun to see a doctor, so she roared angrily. Okay, this is what you told me to get out of. I'm sitting in the corridor outside, and within 5 minutes, you'll beg me to come back. After David finished speaking, he opened the box door and walked out. When David walked back, no one cared about him. Then Dr. Sun began to carefully acupuncture Ruben, and soon he was sweating profusely. After the last needle was pierced, Ruben woke up and slowly opened his eyes. Dad, my dad is awake. Dr. Sun, my dad is awake. It's great. Seeing Ruben awake, Sonia shouted happily, her eyes filled with tears. She was really scared just now, afraid that her father would never wake up again. When Dr. Sun saw that Ruben was awake, he also let out a long sigh of relief. In fact, he was not sure. But when Sonia and Dr. Sun both breathed a sigh of relief, Ruben, who had already opened his eyes, suddenly trembled violently. His expression was very painful. They were in difficulty with each other, and the whole face turned purple. Dad, Dad, Sonia shouted loudly, looking at Dr. Sun in a panic. Dr. Sun, what's going on? At this time, Dr. Sun was also a little flustered, and seemed at a loss. I don't know, how can this happen? How can this happen? Who are you asking? You're a doctor. Sonia was in a hurry and shouted at Dr. Sun. At this time, Ruben's shaking became smaller and smaller, and finally there was no movement, and he couldn't even detect his breathing. This time, Dr. Sun panicked even more. If Ruben had any good or bad, he probably wouldn't think about it. Dad, don't scare me, don't scare me. Sonia cried. Miss Sue, let's send President Sue to the hospital. I have no choice. Dr. Sun said anxiously. The reason why he chose to send Ruben to the hospital at this time was simply to avoid responsibility. If Ruben died in the hospital, it had nothing to do with him. Do you think I'm stupid? Can my dad still go to the hospital in this situation? Hurry up and save my dad. If you can't save my dad, don't live anymore. Sonia had lost her mind at this time, and said with anger in her eyes. The Su family is the richest man in Jiangqing. It is not a simple matter to deal with a little doctor. This time, Dr. Sun was frightened, but he had no choice. Just when he was anxious, he suddenly thought of David, and Dr. Sun hurriedly said, Miss Su, the young man who just went out, maybe there is a way. I see that guy has 2 strokes. When Dr. Sun said this, Sonia also thought of David, but just now that Dr. Sun looked down on David, but now he praised him, he just wanted David to come over and help him beat the thunder. As long as David starts to heal, even if Ruben is dead, he will not be able to find his responsibility. It is the responsibility of David alone. Sonia hesitated, and finally put Ruben on the chair and rushed out of the private room. At this time, David was sitting on a chair in the corridor, and he knew that Sonia would definitely come out to find him. Seeing that David hadn't left, Sonia hurried over, but just as she was about to open her mouth, she suddenly found that she didn't even know David's name. Please, please save my father. Sonia looked embarrassed and begged to David. David slowly raised his head to look at Sonia, but Sonia didn't dare to look directly into David's eyes. She scolded David just now, but now she came to beg David. You believe that I can save your father, that I am not a liar? David asked. Sonia didn't speak. She didn't know how to answer, because at this moment Sonia didn't fully trust David. She just didn't do it. She was just a dead horse as a living horse doctor. Looking at Sonia's appearance, David smiled, and instead of embarrassing her, he got up and walked towards the private room. Sonia hurriedly followed behind, while that doctor's son was sweating profusely and was anxiously walking in the private room. Seeing David coming, Dr. Sun seemed to see a savior. No matter whether David could cure Ruben or not, as long as David took action, his own responsibility would be released. "Little brother, it was my fault just now. Please save President Su quickly." Dr. Sun also put down his worth and begged David to say. Compared with his own net worth and life, saying a few good things is nothing. David glanced at Ruben and sighed softly. "It seems that I can only fight." After David finished speaking, he looked at Dr. Sun and asked, "Do you still have silver needles?" "Yes, in the medicine cabinet." Dr. Sun hurriedly took out a package of silver needles and handed it to David. "Not enough." David shook his head. "Not enough." Dr. Sun was stunned. "There are more than 30 silver needles in this pack, isn't it enough?" In acupuncture and moxibustion, it is quite remarkable to be able to apply a dozen needles. Even the president of the Chinese Medicine Association, who is known as a genius doctor, can only apply more than 20 needles. More than 30 silver needles are enough. "Not enough, I need a lot of silver needles." David said. "How much?" Dr. Sun asked carefully. 9981. When David's voice fell, Dr. Sun was stunned, and the whole person was stunned. After a while, Dr. Sun's eyes showed a hint of panic, but he didn't say anything and took out all the silver needles from the medicine box. David took the silver needle and placed Ruben's body flat on the ground. Then he waved his hands, and the silver needle kept piercing into Ruben's body. David's forehead began to sweat, and the whole person looked very tired, and his clothes were soaked. When the last silver needle pierced into Ruben's body, David let out a long sigh, and the whole person seemed to have collapsed and sat directly on the ground. During this period, Sonia kept watching anxiously. She didn't know anything about acupuncture and wanted to ask, but she was afraid of disturbing David. But at this time, Dr. Sun was already stunned on the spot, and his mouth was wide enough to fit an egg. After a while, Dr. Sun changed from shock to excitement, and knelt in front of David with a thud. Dr. Sun's sudden action shocked David and Sonia. Chapter 8. "Divine Doctor, please accept me as a disciple." Dr. Sun said, "Kowtow to David." David opened his mouth, but found that he had no strength at all, and Sonia looked at Dr. Sun in shock. "Dr. Sun, what's wrong with you? My dad isn't awake yet." Sonia didn't understand. Her father hadn't woken up yet. Why did Dr. Sun call David a genius doctor? Miss Su doesn't know anything. The genius doctor just used a 9-turn revitalizing needle. Even the dead can be healed. President Su will definitely be fine. Dr. Sun explained to Sonia. "So smart." Sonia looked at David in disbelief. If what Dr. Sun said was true, then David could really be called a genius doctor. "I didn't expect you to know about the Jiuzhuan revival needle." David took a deep breath and said in surprise. This 9-turn revival needle is an ancient acupuncture method that has been lost for a long time. It was learned by David from Irvin. He did not understand how Dr. Sun knew it. "The genius doctor, I am Carl Sun, vice president of the Horrendal Traditional Medicine Association. I once saw this acupuncture method in an ancient book, but I didn't expect to see the genius doctor administering acupuncture today, and asked the genius doctor to accept me as a disciple." With that said, Carl started to kowtow to David. David was a little overwhelmed by Carl's behavior. At this moment, a few coughs sounded, and Ruben woke up. "Dad!" Sonia reacted, and hurriedly stepped forward to help Ruben up, but David grabbed her. "Miss Su, you can't move now. Wait until I take out the silver needle from your father's body." David took Sonia's thin hand, which was soft and warm in his hand, which made David's heart agitate, and Sonia seemed to feel the temperature of David's hand, and her face flushed. "It's hard work." David hurriedly let go of Sonia, set his mind, and waved his hands gently in front of Ruben. 81 silver needles. The coefficient was sucked into David's palm. "That's it." David returned the silver needle to Carl and said to Sonia. At this moment, Sonia didn't dare to have the slightest suspicion of David, and after expressing her thanks, she stepped forward to support Reuben, and tears of excitement were about to flow out. "Dad, how are you feeling?" Sonia asked while supporting Reuben. I'm fine. Reuben smiled slightly, but when he saw Carl kneeling on the ground, he asked in confusion, "What's going on?" Sonia could only talk about David's use of the 9-turn revival needle to save him. When Reuben heard it, he was immediately surprised. He felt that David could see the illness in his body, and it should have been 2 strokes, but he didn't expect it to be so powerful that even Carl, the vice president of the Chinese Medicine Association, had to kneel down to apprentice. "Little brother, this is the 2nd time you have rescued me. From now on, you are the great benefactor of my Su family. As long as you say a word, Su can do it, and I will never refuse." Reuben said excitedly. "Mr. Su is very polite. It's just a little effort. Besides, you have done good deeds for a long time. This is also your blessing," David said lightly, but then the conversation changed. "Although I temporarily saved your life with the 9-turn revival needle, if you don't cure your disease, you won't be able to live for 3 months at most." Hearing what David said, Reuben knelt in front of David with a thud. "Please save my life, sir. I am willing to pay my life's money." Reuben was frightened, and instead of calling David his little brother, he changed his name to Mr. Chen. He was really afraid that David would not save him. In order to survive, he is willing to give all his family wealth to David. As the richest man in Horrendal, Reuben has a lot of assets. Now he wants to give all of it to David. I am afraid that everyone who sees it will be envious. Mr. Su doesn't have to be like this. Since I meet you, I will naturally save you. It's just that I still need some rare medicinal materials, so I need you to prepare the medicinal materials. David has no money to buy medicine for Reuben, and the medicinal materials he needs are all invaluable, and most people are really poorly prepared. Sir, just say what you need. Reuben nodded quickly, and then said to Sonia, Sonia, prepare a pen and paper to record it. When Reuben suddenly changed his name to Mr. Chin, he felt uncomfortable, so he said, Mr. Su, my name is David Chin, you can just call him by his first name. How can that be? Mr. Chin is my savior, and my Su family will never forget it. Seeing Reuben's stubbornness, David did not insist, but wrote a full prescription with pen and paper and gave it to Sonia. Mr. Su, most of the medicines on this list are what you need, but a small part is for my mother. My mother is blind. If you want to cure it, you also need some medicines. David followed Reuben truthfully. David's mother, Barbara's eye disease, was blinded because she cried for too long. It is not difficult for David to cure it. It's just that with his current ability, it is still difficult to prepare medicinal materials for treatment, so he simply asked the Su family to prepare together. But there are two things. David worried that the Su family would not be able to find them, one of which is a brush with a certain spirituality, such as those used by writers for a long time, which have spirituality. Or a brush made of spiritual animal hair can also be used. These spiritual brushes are just one of them. It is also necessary to use cinnabar. Although cinnabar is very common now, the cinnabar that David needs to use is made of lobular red sandalwood or old sandalwood that is more than 100 years old. With the spiritual brush, you only need to tap a few points on Barbara's eyes. After that, you can basically see things. Although David also wrote these two things on the list, he did not expect the Su family to find these two things. These two things can be met but not sought after, and only those who understand can tell the difference. Chapter 9. Mr. Chin, you can say whatever you want. As long as I can do it, I will never refuse. Reuben said quickly. Mr. Chin, what is the use of the brush and cinnabar on your list? At this time, Sonia asked. After all, writing brushes and cinnabar are not like things that can be used to treat diseases, and these two things are all over the street. Sonia, since Mr. Chin wrote it, it makes sense, so don't talk too much. Reuben glared at Sonia and said, It's okay. David smiled. These two are also used for healing, but these two are not ordinary brushes and cinnabars, they need spiritual brushes and cinnabars. With spirituality? Sonia was blinded this time. Reuben was also confused. They didn't understand what was spiritual at all. Seeing that both of them were blinded, David explained, "All things in the world are born and die, and everything has spirituality, even the dead things that people see in the world, such as the table and chairs here, are all there can be spirituality, but that requires particularly harsh conditions and opportunities. Just like this chair I made, if I sit on this chair to practice the exercises for 10 years, 50 years, or even 100 years, this chair will gradually become spiritual." David was afraid that the two of them would not understand, so he could only follow the two of them in a very popular way. "Oh, I see," San Yadanli exclaimed in surprise. "Mr. Chen's meaning is just like it was played on TV. A tree in the fairy cave can become spiritual over time and even transform into a human form." "Sonia, don't talk nonsense." Reuben was speechless after listening to Sonia's explanation. In his opinion, there are no gods in this world. What a century it is. Miss Sue's explanation is right, that's what it means. David smiled slightly. David didn't believe it before, but after following Irvin for 3 years, he realized that there were too many things in this world that he didn't know. Just like the condensing heart technique that the Irvin passed on to him, it is a method of cultivating immortals. Reuben smiled awkwardly. I didn't expect that Sonia really explained it correctly. If someone said something about spirituality, immortals, etc., Reuben would definitely sneer, but when David said it, it made Reuben a little shaken. David and Reuben were talking, without even looking at Carl, who was kneeling on the ground. Although Carl is not particularly bad, it is difficult to take responsibility. David didn't want to accept him, and without the permission of the old master, David nor will they accept apprentices casually. After talking for about 10 minutes, David also knew how Reuben was injured. It turned out that when Reuben was young, he was slapped by a business competitor because there was no trauma, and he was fine after the examination. So he doesn't care. But it didn't take long for Reuben to feel that his body was getting weaker and weaker, and he often had difficulty breathing. However, Reuben was afraid that his family would be worried, so he kept it a secret, which is why Sonia didn't know her father had a hidden illness. David understood as soon as he heard it. The person who injured Reuben must be a warrior who has cultivated inner strength. It seems that he is going to kill Reuben, but Reuben is rich and buys it with heavy gold. Tonic can only last until now. If he hadn't met himself, Reuben would not have survived at all. I beg Mr. Chin to accept me as a disciple. Carl, who was kneeling on the ground, shouted again. At this time, his legs were already numb, accompanied by pain, making Carl very uncomfortable now. David glanced at Carl. Get up, I won't accept apprentices, but if you don't understand something, I can give you pointers. David saw that Carl had been kneeling for so long, and he was sincere, so he agreed to give him instructions, but David would never accept an apprentice. Seeing David say this, Carl was overjoyed and thanked him repeatedly. Thank you, Mr. Chin. Thank you, Mr. Chin. Carl stood up slowly, but his legs were numb and painful, making him unable to stand at all. Seeing Carl's situation, David stretched out his hand and tapped on Carl's leg. The pain and numbness disappeared instantly, which shocked Carl. Mr. Su, there are still parents at home. I'm going back. After the medicinal materials are ready, you can call me. David slowly got up and said. David's mother was still at home alone, which made him very uneasy. Mr. Chin, where do you live now? Reuben asked. What's wrong with living in Xingfuli community? David said strangely. Oh, it's nothing, I just have a house that has been idle and useless, so I will give it to Mr. Chen. That place is also very suitable for recuperation. I hope it will be useful to Mr. Chen. Reuben said, and took out a key from his pocket. Then thank you, Mr. Su. David wanted to refuse. He did not seek medical treatment for Reuben, but he thought that his parents lived in that dilapidated house, and he wanted to earn money to buy a house. He was afraid that it would take a while, so he agreed. But when the key was handed over to David, he was stunned. This was the key to the Pinerist Villa. Chapter 10. The Pinerist Villa district is the best community in Horrendal. The whole community is built on the only mountain in Horrendal. The scenery in the community is pleasant and the air quality is particularly good. The people who can live here are either rich or expensive, and they are all upper-class people. Ordinary people, let alone living in the community, can't even pay the property fee. Mr. Seuss, this house is too expensive, you should take it back. David hurriedly returned the key. Mr. Chen, don't shirk. Does it mean that my life is not worth a house? Reuben smiled slightly. When Reuben said this, David could only accept it, and Reuben took out a bank card and gave it to David, with 10 million in it. David knew that he couldn't escape, so he could only put the bank card in his pocket. Just when David was about to leave, there was a burst of noise from downstairs. It was very loud. David frowned slightly. Seeing David frowning, Reuben immediately called the hotel manager over. What's going on? It's so noisy. Reuben asked. Mr. Su, young Master Xiao of the Xiao family, is getting married today, and the wedding banquet will be held in the banquet hall on the second floor. That's why it's so noisy. The manager hurriedly explained to Reuben. When Reuben heard this, he gave up. After all, his hotel is open for business, and when people get married, it is inevitable to make some noise. Mr. Su, farewell. David bowed his hands to Reuben and walked out of the private room. Just after David went downstairs, he met Jordan and walked into the hotel with his bride Delia in his arms. After seeing David, Jordan was stunned for a moment, but then laughed. David, I didn't expect you to come to our wedding. Do you want to eat and drink? David glanced at Jordan coldly, did not speak, turned to one side and wanted to leave. Don't go. Jordan blocked David's way and said mockingly, Look at your ex-girlfriend, isn't she beautiful now? Don't you have anything to tell her? Jordan is deliberately making David embarrassed. Brother Lay, ignore him, the time is coming. Delia, who was in Jordan's arms, didn't even look at David. She said to Jordan, Jordan, don't pay attention to this rubbish, you can't miss the hour, you go to the hall, I'll drive this rubbish away. Ethel urged Jordan, then looked at David and said, Have you finished this guy? You even chased after you to the hotel, just like your toad. Can my daughter like you? Take a photo of yourself, get out of here. Don't think about making trouble here. Jia Mimi's words are bitter and mean, and it can be said that every word is punishing. The relatives and friends around them whispered one by one, watching David keep sneering. At this time, David was like a clown jumping off the beam and was laughed at by everyone. One day, you will all kneel at my feet and beg me. David suppressed the anger in his heart, pushed Jordan away, and walked out. Stop him. Jordan frowned. Today, if you want to participate, you have to participate, and if you don't want to participate, you have to participate. I will let you, a waste, watch your girlfriend marry me. As soon as Jordan spoke, the bald people immediately stopped David. They were beaten at David's house, and they still had grievances in their hearts. Now they just want to take revenge on David. Seeing the bald-headed people holding him viciously, David slowly turned his head to look at Jordan. Are you sure you want me to attend your wedding? Yes, I just let you watch it with your own eyes. I want you to know that if you dare to fight with me, you are not worthy. Jordan sneered. Well, if I were to attend, your wedding wouldn't be held. After David finished speaking, he turned around and walked into the wedding banquet hall on the second floor. There are more than 100 tables in this hall. Haha, I want to see how you made my wedding fail. Jordan laughed. He didn't believe David's threat at all, but in order to prevent David from making trouble and disturbing everyone's yaxing, Jordan faced that the bald head said, Bald head, bring a few more people and follow that David for me. If he dares to come back, immediately arrest him for me. Young Master Xiao, don't worry, this matter is left to me. The bald head nodded, and there were a few cold rays in his eyes. He was just about to seek revenge on David. In the marriage hall, David found a corner and sat down. The people who can attend the Xiao family's son's wedding are either rich or expensive. Therefore, the appearance of David caused many guests in the hall to cast a strange look. At such a luxurious wedding scene, an ordinary young man suddenly appeared, which seemed out of place. But soon, David's identity was spread among the many guests, and this time, there were more eyes on David. Most of them were mocking, and some were sympathetic. It's just that David didn't care about these eyes. Sitting alone in the corner, eating the dried fruit on the table, without a trace of expression on his face. The bald head is with a dozen people, standing behind David and staring closely. As long as David dares to make a change, he will shoot without hesitation. "Hey, isn't this David? When did you get out of prison?" A sarcastic voice sounded. David looked up and found a woman dressed in enchanting, heavy makeup walking towards David, with a young man following the woman. The woman's voice instantly attracted the attention of the surrounding guests. At first, they only thought that David was the ex-boyfriend of the bride, and they came to see his girlfriend for the last time. Of interest. Chapter 11. David looked at the woman with heavy makeup and a look of disgust on his face. This woman's name is Jiang Wenjing, and she is also a classmate of David. She once chased after David in school. At that time, David's father had a formal job and was considered an iron job, so many people pursued David. It's just that David didn't like this Jiang Wenjing. Being with Delia, he felt that Delia was better than Jiang Wenjing, a woman who loves vanity. But now it seems that the two women are the same thing, and David is wrong. "David, why didn't you talk when you met your old classmate? Are you dumb? You were very handsome when you were in the school, and you were the president of the student council. If you let the school principal and teachers know, you are excellent in both quality and study in their eyes." The president of the student union who became a labor prisoner after graduation, do you think they would think so? The youth beside Jiang Wenjing also spoke up. The young man's name is Fu Wei, and David used to be roommates. The two of them are still buddies, but Fu Wei also has a crush on Delia. Later, after seeing David and Delia together, he holds a grudge against David and does not much. The matter of destroying David and Delia was just unsuccessful. The relationship between David and him was immediately cut off. After graduating from college, they never contacted him again. Now that Jiang Wenjing and Fu Wei are here at the same time, they should have been invited by Delia, otherwise these two people are not eligible to participate. David just glanced at the two people, then lowered his head and drank tea silently. He was too lazy to care about these two people. Seeing David lowered his head, Fu Wei and Jiang Wenjing were even more proud. They felt that David was afraid of them. "David just got out of prison. Have you found a job yet? Would you like me to introduce you to a job of cleaning the toilet? Although it's a bit dirty and tiring, you can still have enough to eat. Now your dad has lost his job. You're trying to count on him. I'm afraid you can't count on it." Fu Wei had a smug smile on his face, not to mention how happy he was to be able to step on David under his feet. When he was in school, if David's father hadn't had a formal job, how could he have been compared by David? "Fu Wei, don't talk nonsense, the president of the Tang Tang Student Union, how can you go to the toilet? Anyway, find a cleaner job, I'll go sweep the road." Jiang Wenjing covered her mouth and giggled. Haha. Fu Wei and Jiang Wenjing's mockery of David made the bald head and many other guests laugh. At this time, David slowly raised his head. "If you two don't want to die, then leave here quickly." David's expression was indifferent, his tone was flat, and there was no trace of anger, but when Fu Wei and Jiang Wenjing heard these words, both of them shivered. Especially that Jiang Wenjing, the whole person is like falling into an ice cave, his whole body is cold, and he doesn't even dare to look directly at David. The words that were originally prepared to be sarcastic suddenly can't be said at this time. After a while, Fu Wei seemed to have been greatly insulted and yelled at David with a grim face. "You are a labor prisoner, what are you dragging? Your girlfriend is married to someone else, and you are not even AF.art. Don't dare to let it go, what big words are you telling us?" "That's right, knowing that the Shao family is rich and powerful, you dare not provoke it, so you want to vent your anger at the two of us? We are not easy to provoke." Jiang Wenjing also calmed down at this time, pointing at David and scolding. "Do not make me angry." After David finished speaking, he lowered his head again. "Damn, I'll mess with you. How dare you? This is young Master Zhao's wedding." Fu Wei cursed angrily, stepped forward and carried David by the collar, and directly lifted David up. The reason why they targeted David like this was entirely because they wanted to please that Jordan. As long as they please Jordan, their work will be able to go smoothly in the future. Fu Wei carried David, lifted David up at once, and was about to move towards David, but saw David slap him. Snapped. With a slap that was enough to startle the entire banquet hall, Fu Wei flew out and slammed heavily on a table. But the table became smashed, the dishes, bowls and tea sets all fell to the ground and were smashed to pieces. All the guests turned their attention to this place, but Jordan and Delia on the wedding stage, no one was paying attention. Even Jordan and Delia couldn't help but look in the direction of the sound. Damn, you are courting death. When the bald head saw David's action, he instantly became excited and shouted, "Give it all to me, kill this kid." The bald head can now justifiably avenge his personal revenge. He knows that David has some skills, so he can't go up and directly let more than 10 men behind him swarm up. Boy, dare to make a scene at young Master Zhao's wedding, you are courting death. More than a dozen thugs with sticks greeted David. When many guests saw this scene, they couldn't help shaking their heads. They knew that David would not survive. Chapter 12. Kill him, kill him. Fu Wei, who was sent flying by David's slap, covered his face and stood up, yelling fiercely. On the wedding stage, Jordan raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a cruel smile. Everyone was watching David's jokes, no one pitied him, and no one would save him. Facing the siege of more than a dozen people, David sneered and suddenly took a step forward. David took the step. Like an earthquake, the entire hall seemed to shake. And the dozen or so thugs let out a scream in an instant, and then all flew out backwards, smashing the surrounding tables and chairs, and the scene was a mess. This time, all the guests were stunned. The bald head looked at the fallen subordinate, and a chill came up from the soles of his feet instantly. At this moment, on the side of the wedding stage, a well-dressed middle-aged man frowned tightly together. This person is Xiao Yan, the head of the Xiao family, and Jordan's father. When his son gets married, of course he must be present. Just now, when David knocked back the dozen or so thugs, Xiao Yan saw them all. He is a martial artist himself, and he can see that David's strength is not simple. When Jordan on the wedding stage saw this, he frowned, "Damn, it's all fucking waste." Roaring angrily, Jordan rushed down with a vigorous step. "Husband." Delia also ran along with him. "Layer, don't act rashly." At this time, on the side of the wedding stage, Xiao Yan, who had been sitting still, rushed over. He was afraid that his son would suffer. "What's going on? What's going on?" A dozen hotel security guards rushed in with rubber sticks. The Regal Hotel has been open for 5 or 6 years, and I have never seen anyone who dares to make trouble here. You must know that this Regal Hotel is the property of the Su family, the richest man in Horrendal. What's more, this time the eldest young master of the Xiao family is holding the wedding. The strength of the Xiao family is not much worse than that of the Su family. At this juncture, who would dare to come here to make trouble? Isn't that the longevity star who eats arsenic? Is it too long? In the private room on the 3rd floor, Reuben frowned when he heard the crackling sound below. The manager of the hotel came over in a cold sweat. "What's going on down there?" Reuben asked with some displeasure. "Mr. Su, someone made trouble at the Xiao family's wedding banquet, beat people, and smashed things." The hotel manager hurriedly explained. "Anyone dare to make trouble here?" Reuben's face was angry. "What are you doing to eat? You are a waste. Hurry up and send the security over there. Don't affect the reputation of our hotel." "It's been dispatched," said the manager. "Then why don't you go and deal with it, waiting for people to get angry?" Reuben roared, scaring the manager to run away. "Dad, you're not in good health. Don't be angry. I'll go down and see." Sonia comforted Reuben and walked out of the private room. Sonia is now handling many things in the Su family. After all, Reuben is only her daughter. Now that Reuben is not in good health, all the burdens are placed on Sonia's shoulders. Marriage hall on the 2nd floor. More than a dozen security guards surrounded David. The hotel manager hurried over, nodded and bowed in front of Xiao Yan. "Mr. Xiao, I'm really sorry. I didn't expect that there are people who are not afraid of death and dare to make trouble at the Xiao family's wedding. I am now drive the troublemakers away." After that, he said to the dozen or so security guards, "What are you still doing? Shoot the troublemaker out to me." "Wait a moment." Just when the security was about to start, Xiao Yan said, When my son's wedding was making trouble and disturbing my guests, how could he just let him go? In that case, where would my Xiao family's face go? Even today I don't want his life, and I have to leave my hands and feet behind. This. The hotel manager is embarrassed. If he cuts off his hands and feet, what if he hates the hotel in the future and makes trouble again? Xiao Yan saw what the hotel manager meant, and said with a disdainful smile, "My Xiao family will handle this matter myself, you can get out of here." "Okay, let's get out now." Being able to do nothing, the hotel manager nodded hurriedly and happily. "Dad, I don't want his hands and feet, I want his life. If I dare to make trouble at my wedding, I want him to die." Jordan finished speaking, and then glared at David. "David, I have to let you die today. I will let you know what will happen to me. I just said, if I come to the wedding, then your wedding will not be possible. You always don't believe it, do you believe it now?" David looked at Jordan and smiled without fear. "I believe your mother." Jordan punched David fiercely. But only a crisp sound was heard, and then Jordan's arm bent strangely, obviously broken. "What?" The severe pain caused Jordan to cry out in a heart-wrenching manner. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. David dared to attack Jordan. He was afraid that he was really courting death. Chapter 13. Leia. Xiao Yan hurriedly stepped forward to support Jordan. After checking, he found that Jordan's arm was broken, and it would take a few months to recover. "Befive Tard, you dare to beat my son, I want you to die." At first, Xiao Yan only wanted to teach David a lesson and let him improve his memory. After all, there is still a wedding, but now Xiao Yan has only one thought, that is to kill David, or else to do so much in front of Horrendal in the face of the merchant he would be embarrassed. Xiao Yan took out his mobile phone and summoned all the bodyguards at home. These bodyguards were all hired for a lot of money, and they were all warriors. But they are much stronger than that bald head. They are street gangsters who have been following Jordan's buttocks all the time, to curry favor with the rich second-generation Jordan. Seeing Xiao Yan calling someone, David was not in a hurry. He actually sat back and drank a cup of tea again. David's behavior completely angered Xiao Yan, and it was obvious that he looked down on them. "Xiao Yan. Family. Dad, kill him for me, I'm going to kill him." Jordan, whose arm was broken, shouted with a hideous expression on his face. "Leia, don't worry, I will definitely throw this kid into the river to feed the fish today." Xiao Yan looked at his son distressedly and promised. Xiao Yan saw that David had some strength, so he did not take action immediately, but waited for his bodyguard to arrive. At this moment, the door of the marriage hall on the second floor was pushed open, and Sonia walked in quickly. She wanted to see who was making trouble here. "Uncle Xiao, what happened?" As soon as he entered the door, Sonia asked Xiao Yan. "This kid dares to make trouble at my son's wedding, and dares to beat my son. I'm going to open a meat shop in your hotel today." Xiao Yan pointed at David, who was sitting at the table drinking tea. When Sonia looked over, she was stunned. She never thought that the troublemaker was actually David, and David didn't leave. "Mr. Chin?" Sonia asked suspiciously, "Why are you? Is Miss Su strange?" David smiled at Sonia. "Niece Sonia, do you know this person?" Xiao Yan frowned. "Uncle Xiao, this may be a misunderstanding. This Mr. Chen was invited to treat my father. This must be a misunderstanding." Sonia explained. "Cure." Xiao Yan frowned even more. "Who are you? What nonsense are you talking about? This guy doesn't know how to heal at all. He was just released from the cell today. I've known him for many years, and I've never seen him see a doctor. Don't be deceived by him." Delia shouted at Sonia. Sonia's face turned cold for a moment, but looking at the wedding dress on Delia, she knew that this was the bride of the Xiao family. Sonia endured and said, "Whether Mr. Chen will see a doctor, I'm free to decide. You haven't seen it, it doesn't mean Chen won't. Come on, just his 2 strokes, what do I not know? Our 4-year college classmates have been in love for several years. I got sick and caught a cold, so I had to go to the hospital. Once it rained heavily, he was the one who carried me on his back. If he can see a doctor, will he still need to go to the hospital?" Delia looked disdainful in her eyes. David is now worthless. Hearing what Delia said, Sonia looked at David. She seemed to understand why David made trouble at the wedding. Niece Sonia, don't worry about this matter. Your father's illness, I will invite an expert from abroad for him. Today this kid must die. Xiao Yan said in an unquestionable tone. He is older than Sonia, so of course you don't need to be polite. No, you must not touch Mr. Chin. Sun Yadenli stopped in front of David. She also counted on David to save her father's life, and Sonia couldn't watch David's accident. Xiao Yan's face turned cold. Niece Sonia, are you forcing me to do it? Xiao Yan's eyes flickered with murderous intent, and as the voice fell, dozens of Xiao family bodyguards who were full of momentum rushed in. Seeing that his bodyguard had arrived, Xiao Yan looked at David with even more cold eyes. Uncle Xiao, no matter what, I can't let you touch Mr. Chen. After Sonia finished speaking, more than a dozen hotel security guards rushed in and guarded Sonia tightly. The atmosphere in the banquet hall instantly became condensed, and many guests stepped back one after another, for fear of a fight that would affect themselves. Little girl, if it wasn't for your father's sake, I could crush you to death in minutes. Get out of the way now. Can you stop me by relying on your broken security? Xiao Yan was angry and he was rude to Sonia. And as Xiao Yan's voice fell, the dozens of bodyguards of the Xiao family all exuded an aura, and this aura alone made the dozen or so security guards turn pale. Sonia's face is not good looking, but she still tightly protects David with determination in her eyes. Old Xiao, is it a bit too much to scare children at an age? At this moment, the door of the banquet hall was pushed open again, and Reuben walked in with a trace of displeasure on his face. Chapter 14. Seeing Reuben coming, Xiao Yan smiled coldly. Old Su, you came just in time, take your daughter away, I will kill this kid today. Reuben ignored Xiao Yan, but looked at David and said, Mr. Chen, you are shocked. Reuben's humble appearance surprised everyone. It's okay, the mere Xiao family can't help me. David smiled faintly. David's words angered Xiao Yan again. Boy, if I don't kill you today, why does my Xiao family have a foothold in Horrendal? After finishing speaking, Xiao Yan looked at his dozens of bodyguards. Whoever kills this kid will be rewarded 1 million. As soon as they heard the bounty of 1 million, the eyes of the dozens of bodyguards were all red, and they were all gearing up for it. I see who of you dares to move. Reuben shouted angrily, Don't forget, this is on my site, this is my hotel. As Reuben's words fell, dozens of security guards rushed over, and the old butler of the Su family also arrived sweating profusely. Master, I have already explained what you ordered. The security guards of the Su family and the industry have all rushed here, and the bodyguards of the Su family will be here soon. The old housekeeper reported to Reuben. Reuben nodded, and the old housekeeper retreated. Xiao Yan listened to the report of the old butler of the Su family, and frowned instantly. Reuben, are you going to fight me to the death for such a kid? Xiao Yan, if you insist on killing Mr. Chun, what can you do with your Xiao family? Do you think I will be afraid of you? Reuben was not afraid at all. The Xiao family and the Su family are already equal in strength. If there is a battle, it will definitely be a lose-lose. All the guests were hiding far away at this time, thinking that Xiao Zhujiu, if the Su family and the Xiao family fought, then the other families would definitely benefit. Xiao Yan's face was flushed red, and the killing intent in his eyes became stronger and stronger. Reuben, if you are forcing me again, then don't blame me for being rude. You forgot one thing, that is, Lord Tiger owes our Xiao family a favor. As soon as Xiao Yan's words came out, Reuben's face changed suddenly, and there was a bit of panic in his eyes. Even the surrounding guests shuddered when they heard the word Tiger Lord, and their hearts felt cold. This Tiger Lord is named Lin Tianhu, the head of Ji Hall, and this Lin Tianhu is the underground emperor of the entire Horrendal. There is a famous saying in Horrendal, it is better to provoke King Yama than to provoke Jiatang. This sentence is enough to show the strength of this Jiatang in Horrendal. And Lin Tianhu, the head of Ji Hall, stomped his feet even more, and Horrendal trembled 3 times. Seeing Reuben's frightened expression, Xiao Yan laughed loudly. Reuben, if you take people away now, I will pretend that nothing happened. Don't force me to call Tiger Lord. The muscles in the corner of Reuben's eyes kept twitching, and he hesitated, because Lin Tianhu's name was too loud for their Su family to offend. Mr. Su, I'll handle my own affairs. You should take someone away. David saw that Reuben was hesitating, so he said aloud. Reuben gritted his teeth and said, Mr. Chen, you saved my life. If you say that, don't you slap me in the face? If there is a fight later, I will let Sonia take Mr. Chen to take the opportunity to escape. Whether it is Lin Tianhu or Xiao Yan, they dare not kill me. Dad, Sonia grabbed Reuben's sleeve tightly. Sonia, after you leave with Mr. Chen, go to Su's secret room, you know the location, and come out when the weather is calm. Reuben warned Sonia. Reuben, how are you thinking? Do you want me to trouble Master Tiger? Seeing that Reuben had not expressed his position, Xiao Yan urged him to ask. Xiao Yan, Mr. Chen, I'm safe. Reuben said firmly. Okay, you have a kind of kid. Xiao Yan gritted his teeth angrily and called Lin Tianhu directly. In fact, Xiao Yan didn't want to use this favor, because it was used by the Xiao family to save his life. Back then, Xiao Yan's father once asked Lin Tianhu to stay overnight on a rainy day, so the young Lin Tianhu said that he owed the Xiao family a favor. You can ask him to repay this favor at any time. Originally, the Xiao family hoped to use this favor again when the family was in great trouble, but in today's situation, if Xiao Yan didn't kill David, he would not be reconciled, and their Xiao family would also be ridiculed, so Xiao Yan decided to use this favor to invite Lin Tianhu. Not long after the call was made, there was only a rumbling sound, followed by a clutter of footsteps. Many people looked out through the window, and they were all dumbfounded. I saw people wearing black suits and holding machetes, directly surrounding the entire Regal Hotel. There were hundreds of people, and everyone had murderous aura. Seeing this scene, Reuben's heart was a little disappointed. It seems that David can't escape today. The door of the banquet hall was pushed open, and more than 20 men in suits with a height of 1.9 meters and a sturdy face rushed in first. 20 people stood in 2 rows, with their chests raised and their heads raised, lined up. Congratulations to Lord Tiger. 20 men in suits shouted in unison, and the shouts shook the lights on the roof. What a big stage. As expected of Lord Tiger. Shut up, be careful of your life. Everyone whispered, but soon they all shut their mouths. Everyone's eyes turned to the direction of the door, and then a middle-aged man in his 50s, wearing a fitted suit and leather shoes, walked in. A pair of leather shoes has a bright light and can reflect all the figures. This person is the underground emperor of Horrendal, Lin Tianhu, the head of Ji Hall. Master Tiger. Xiao Yan hurried forward and shouted respectfully. I'm busy, who are you going to kill? Lin Tianhu asked directly. Xiao Yan pointed at David and said, It's him. Lin Tianhu's eyes swept over David. He was dressed in ordinary clothes and looked a little thin, and there was nothing special about it. He didn't know why Xiao Yan killed him. Lin Tianhu walked towards David. Reuben and Sonia stood in front of David and looked at Lin Tianhu, who came over. Both of them trembled. Go away. Lin Tianhu frowned when he saw the Su family's father and daughter blocking in front of him. Just these 2 words, Lin Tianhu exuded a monstrous momentum. Reuben and Sonia were instantly oppressed by this momentum and could not breathe. Seeing this, David put his hands directly on the shoulders of Reuben's father and daughter. President Su, Miss Su, please step back, I will handle my own affairs myself. David pushed Reuben and his daughter aside, took a step forward, and faced Lin Tianhu. Chapter 15. Master Tiger, don't beat him to death, torture him to death. Seeing Lin Tianhu coming, Jordan suddenly shouted, Are you teaching me what to do? Lin Tianhu frowned and looked at Jordan. At this sight, Jordan was so frightened that he almost didn't pee his pants. He stepped back and said, Don't dare, don't dare. You befive-tard, you are talking to Lord Tiger like this. Xiao Yan stepped forward and gave Jordan a slap in the face, and then smiled apologetically. Master Tiger, the dog is ignorant. I hope Lord Tiger doesn't take offense. Xiao Yan, let me tell you, I, Lin Tianhu, owe your Xiao family a favor, but I am not a servant of your Xiao family. I hope you understand. Lin Tianhu said coldly. Understood, I understand, Lord, who is the honored guest of my Xiao family. How could he be a servant? Xiao Yan was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat and glared at his son. That Jordan originally hurt when his arm was broken. He was slapped by Xiao Yan just now, but now he lowered his head and didn't dare to say a word. Seeing that Xiao Yan's attitude was okay, Lin Tianhu put his eyes on David again. Master Tiger, Mr. Chen is also impulsive. The bride is Mr. Chen's girlfriend, but was taken away by this Jordan. All Mr. Chen is a little resentful. Reuben stepped forward in a hurry, followed Lin Tianhu with a smile on his face and explained. Oh. Lin Tianhu nodded, and finally understood that this seemingly ordinary guy dared to make trouble at the Xiao family's wedding. It turned out that his girlfriend was robbed. But soon, Lin Tianhu reacted, suddenly stunned, and said to Reuben, "What do you call him?" Reuben is the richest man in Horrendal. How could he address an ordinary young man in his early 20s as Mr.? There must be a reason for this. Mr. Chen. Reuben was at a loss, but he quickly realized what Lin Tianhu meant, so he explained, "Mr. Chen saved my life, so no matter what, I will protect him today." Only now did Lin Tianhu fully understand what was going on. Speaking of which, it wasn't a big deal, but the Su family and the Xiao family were tit for tat, and this matter became a big deal, so the Xiao family brought him here. It's just such a bit of a, look at what the two of you have done. You are both well-known figures in Horrendal. Pay attention to the influence. Since that kid is making trouble at the wedding and beats the Xiao family kid, you can't let it go easily. I've beaten him, but he's not guilty enough to die, so let him cut off his arm and apologize in public, admit his mistake and get out. Lin Tianhu reprimanded both Reuben and Xiao Yan, but neither of them dared to refute. To be able to become the underground emperor of Horrendal, Lin Tianhu not only relies on his two fists, but also on his head. Just such a trivial matter, Lin Tianhu can completely make David disappear, but that offends the Su family. Although he is not afraid of Su, however, after weighing the pros and cons, it is not worth it at all. The Xiao family just wants to save face. Let David cut off his arm and apologize in public, give Xiao family a face, and let Jordan vent his anger. In this way, the Xiao family will gain face, and the Su family will not be offended. For Lin Tianhu, the best of both worlds. Do you two think what I'm saying is okay? Seeing that Reuben and Xiao Yan didn't speak, Lin Tianhu asked again. He didn't ask David, the client, because in his eyes, David was just a chess piece, and he was going to move how he wanted to move. Listen to Lord Tiger. Who would dare to refute Reuben and Xiao Yan? Isn't this the end? Why make such a big fanfare? It seems to be so serious. Lin Tianhu laughed, then looked at David and said, "Boy, you made a big fuss about other people's weddings, beat up their son, and now you have broken your arm. Apologize to people and let you go, otherwise you won't be able to leave today." David looked at Jordan, who was full of pride. He was waiting for David to cut off his arm, and then went to apologize to him. They don't deserve. David spit out 4 words lightly. Chapter 16. All of a sudden, everyone present was stunned. You must know that in Horrendal, no one has ever dared to disobey Hu Ye's intentions, but today, David, who looks ordinary, doesn't give any face at all. Lin Tianhu's face turned cold, and killing intent flashed in his eyes. Jordan on the side was about to die of laughter, and he kept shouting in his heart, "Kill him! Kill him!" Mr. Chin. You apologize to Lord Tiger. Sonia hurriedly tugged David's sleeve, and the nervous cold sweat came out. Boy, you dare to disobey Lord Tiger and court death. One of Lin Tianhu's subordinates roared and smashed David with a punch. Master Tiger, I apologize to you on behalf of Mr. Chin. Reuben saw that Lin Tianhu's subordinates had taken action, and the whole person was anxious, but he did not dare to let his subordinates do it. Now even if he risked his life, the dozens of security guards under his subordinates, where is the number brought by Lin Tianhu? By his opponents, the ending is the same, just bring their Su family along. Lin Tianhu was silent, ignoring Reuben, and did not say anything to stop his subordinates. You must know that Lin Tianhu's subordinates are tall and tall, a head taller than David, and the muscles on his body are bulging high. With this punch, even if David is immortal, he is afraid that he will become disabled. Jordan and Delia all looked at David with a sneer, watching David's tragic state for a while, and Fu Wei and Jiang Wenjing, all waiting to see David's jokes, especially that Fu Wei, who was just killed by David. Ping was slapped, and it still hurts badly. He wants to watch David be beaten and maimed. But just after Lin Tianhu's punch came to David, David stretched out his hand and directly grabbed the sandbag-sized fist of Lin Tianhu's. This time, everyone was stunned, and even Lin Tianhu couldn't help but glance at David. But just looking at it carefully, Lin Tianhu's scalp was about to burst. He saw the bronze-colored ring on David's hand, as well as the command word on the ring. Heavenly Dragon Order. This is the Heavenly Dragon Order. The person who wears the Heavenly Dragon token is the master of the Heavenly Dragon Palace. Lin Tianhu was a little stupid, and then roared, "Go back to me, who told you to do it?" After a roar, he kicked his subordinates out with one kick. "Mr. Qin, my subordinates are ignorant and offended." Lin Tianhu hurriedly apologized to David. He never imagined that the owner of the dragon sect in the small Horrendal would come in person. You must know that the dragon sect is the most mysterious organization in the world. When you stomped your feet, the whole world trembled. Lin Tianhu's Juyi Hall belongs to the Taipei Hall. The Taipei Hall has a total of 13 hall entrances in the entire daxia, and the Juyi Hall is only one of them, but when there is no call from the hall master, these hall entrances are their own business, cannot reveal the identity. So on this occasion, Lin Tianhu can only call David Mr. Qin. Seeing Lin Tianhu's sudden change of attitude towards David, everyone was stunned, not knowing what Lin Tianhu was singing. Even David himself was a little overwhelmed. "Don't I need to apologize?" David looked at Lin Tianhu and asked tentatively. "Don't dare, how dare you ask Mr. Qin to apologize? If Mr. Qin has any demands, just say it." Lin Tianhu was so frightened that he quickly shook his head and beat him to death. He didn't dare to ask the Lord of the Dragon Palace to apologize. "I said, if I come to the wedding, their wedding won't happen," David said lightly. Lin Tianhu nodded, then turned his head and announced loudly, "Today's wedding is cancelled, everyone get out." "Master Tiger." Xiao Yan was taken aback and looked at Lin Tianhu. If this cancels the wedding, then their Xiao family will become a joke in the whole Horrendal. Chapter 17. Clearance. Lin Tianhu ignored Xiao Yan at all, and after he cleared the field, hundreds of his subordinates swarmed in. Those guests were so frightened that they all ran out. Fu Wei and Jiang Wenjing originally wanted to see David's joke, but they didn't see it now, and they were kicked out. Not to mention how ugly Xiao Yan's face was at this time, there was also that Jordan, staring at him, his face full of hideous desire to eat David. Today, the Xiao family has lost so much face, how can they see people in the future? "David, you toad, even if Delia's wedding is not held today, don't think about it, you will never find a daughter-in-law with your virtue." Ethel yelled at David angrily. Their family finally climbed the big tree of the Xiao family, and the wedding that David disturbed could not be held, and Ethel was going to be pissed. "David, do you think you can stop me from marrying Jordan like this? Stop dreaming, I have nothing to do with you anymore, don't pester me." Delia stared at David, except for hatred, there was no emotion in her eyes. "Am I pestering you?" David sneered. "I remember it seems that you guys insisted on me to attend. I said at the time that if I came to attend the wedding, your wedding would not be possible." Delia gritted her teeth angrily and glared at David. "Delia, don't pay attention to him, this toad is deliberately mad at you, deliberately talking to you, look at his dog-licking appearance, he is a labor prisoner, just wait for the bachelor." Ethel pulls Delia, full of vicious curses on David. "Mr. Qin, if you don't dislike it, can I be your girlfriend?" Just when Ethel cursed David, couldn't find a girlfriend for the rest of her life, and was a bachelor, Sonia stepped forward and asked David very seriously. This time, David stood on the spot for a moment. He did not expect that Sonia would say such a thing in public, knowing that she is the eldest miss of the Su family, and she will be the helm of the Su family in the future. When Delia and Ethel heard Sonia say this, their faces turned ashen. This was obviously a slap in the face, especially that Ethel, who just finished saying that David is a toad and can't find a girlfriend in his life, and Su will soon be there. The eldest lady has confessed. Delia clenched her fists tightly, her face burning hot. Just now, he said not to let David pester him, but David was confessed by Miss Sue family in the blink of an eye. You must know what Delia is compared to the eldest Miss Sue family. Miss Sue, let me think about it for 2 days, I'm not ready. David smiled gratefully at Sonia. He knew that the reason why Sonia said this was to help him out of the siege and to slap the mother and daughter of Delia in the face. But a girl, in order to help herself, doesn't even want her reputation. David is very grateful. Mr. Chin, I will try my best to make you accept me. Sonia smiled lightly. Whether it was the Xiao family or Delia's family, they all left. When they left, Xiao Yan's eyes wished to eat David. It seemed that he would not give up. Reuben and Sonia were also invited out by Lin Tianhu's people. In the huge wedding banquet hall, only David and Jiatang were left. Whatever you want, just come. David knew that Lin Tianhu suddenly helped him clear everyone away. There must be something else. But what David didn't expect was that Lin Tianhu knelt down in front of him just after he finished speaking, and then all the hundreds of people in Ji Hall all knelt down. This time, David looked stupid, and he wondered if Lin Tianhu had taken the wrong medicine. Chapter 18. Lin Tianhu, the master of the Ji Hall, pays respects to the master. Meet the hall master. Hundreds of people in Ji Hall shouted in unison. This shocked David. He didn't even know who he was. Have you recognized the wrong person? I'm not a palace master. David shook his head quickly. The person who wears the Heavenly Dragon token is the Lord of the Heavenly Dragon Palace, and you can't go wrong. Lin Tianhu said. Lin Tianhu's words reminded David instantly. When he was in prison, the Irvin always said that he was the master of the dragon sect, and later he gave him this ring. It seems that it was because of this ring that Lin Tianhu recognized himself as the master of the dragon sect. You mean because I wear this ring? David took off the ring and asked Lin Tianhu. Yes, this is the Taipei decree of the dragon sect, the ancestor of the dragon sect, and the wearer is the lord of the dragon sect. Lin Tianhu raised his head and looked at the ring in David's hand. Get up first. Seeing Lin Tianhu and the others kneeling, David felt a little uncomfortable, so he waved his hand. Thank you, Lord. Lin Tianhu and a group of people gathered in Yitong all stood up. I'll tell you, I'm not a palace master. This ring was given to me by someone else. You've got the wrong person. David explained. We only recognize the Heavenly Dragon Order, not people. Since the Heavenly Dragon Order is on you, then you are our hall master. Lin Tianhu said respectfully. David was speechless. It seems that the Irvin deliberately passed the position of the sect master to him. Are you also from the dragon sect? David asked. Yes, there are a total of 13 hall entrances in the Taipei Hall, and our Ji Hall is only one of them, but I am not familiar with the brothers of the other hall entrances, and we rarely communicate with each other. Unless we are called by the hall master, we cannot easily expose. Lin Tianhu explained. After David heard it, he was speechless. One Ji Hall could stomp his feet in Horrendal, and he would tremble 3 times. If there were 13 such halls, then the strength of this Heavenly Dragon Hall would be really terrifying. Palace Master, in addition to the 13 halls of Daxia, we have separate rudders all over the world. As for the specific information, because my position is too low, I can't understand it. Lin Tianhu's voice fell, and David was even more shocked. There are subrudders all over the world, which is too awesome. He really couldn't understand. Irvin, such a sloppy guy, turned out to be such a powerful character. Now David is actually looking forward to the arrival of July 15th. Maybe he will be able to know more about this dragon sect by then. Shocked for a moment, David waved his hand and said, You all go back if there is something I'm looking for you. Yes. Lin Tianhu bowed slightly. Lin Tianhu took the people away, but David didn't move. His heart hadn't calmed down for a long time. This sudden addition of identity made him unable to accept it for a while. At this time, in the top office of the Regal Hotel, Reuben and Sonia did not leave, but came to the top manager's office. This is the property of his Su family, so they can go wherever they want. Sonia, are you serious about what you said to Mr. Chin just now? Reuben looked at Sonia and asked, What are you talking about? Sonia pretended to be stupid, pretending not to know. Stop pretending, you know your daughter Mo Ruafu, what are you thinking, do you think I don't know? Ruben smiled lightly. Dad, I was just helping Mr. Chin out of the siege. I just met him. How could I like him? Sonia rolled her eyes at Ruben, but her face turned red. Mr. Chin is a good person, he looks good, and he has excellent medical skills, but he just doesn't know how to do other aspects. Ruben is very fond of David, but in order to become the son-in-law of their Su family, it is not enough to only be skilled in medicine. After all, Ruben is only such a daughter, and the huge family business of the Su family will be handed over to Sonia. Find someone who can help Sonia Cooking Company. Chapter 19. Dad, stop thinking about it. Sonia turned her head to the side, no longer dealing with Ruben. In fact, in Sonia's heart, she really has a lot of goodwill towards David, especially when she was facing Lin Tianhu just now. David pushed her aside and took that step forward, which made Sonyadenli have a kind of inexplicable sense of security. Mr. Su, Lin Tianhu took people away, and Mr. Chen also left. The hotel manager walked into the office and said, "Oh, I see." Ruben nodded, and then said to Sonia, "Sonia, you have to hurry up with the medicinal materials that Mr. Chen needs. In addition, send someone to protect Mr. Chen secretly. I think the Xiao family will definitely not give up." "Got it." Sonia nodded and went to make arrangements. David left the Regal Hotel and went home directly. It was already noon now, and his mother must be waiting for him. When David returned home, he found that there was already a table of meals, and his parents were waiting for him to come back. "Is it David?" Hearing the door opening, Barbara asked hurriedly. "Mom, it's me." David stepped forward quickly, supported Barbara and said, "You kid, just go home and go out for a long time. Your dad has already prepared the meal, and it's just waiting for you to eat." Barbara complained to David, but her face was full of smiles. "Mom, I went out to do something." David explained, and then looked at his father, Chen Baogua, who came out of the kitchen. At this time, Chen Baogua was full of white hair and wrinkled on his face, obviously a lot of vicissitudes. "Come back." Seeing David, Chen Baogua could see a trace of excitement in his eyes, but he tried his best to restrain himself, and instead of showing it, he asked David lightly. "Yeah." David nodded, his eyes reddened. "My father used to be an iron rice bowl and an enviable civil servant. He wore suits and shoes every day and was full of high spirits, but looking at it now, in just 3 years, he seemed to have aged more than 10 years and no longer had the spirit of the past. Angry. Hurry up and eat, it will be cold for a while." As Chen Baogua said, he picked up a bowl of rice and placed it in front of David. You must know that Chen Baogua has a very strict religion and is very majestic at home. He has never served David, let alone in the kitchen, but now everything has changed, and the environment can really make everything. The family was eating, Chen Baogua didn't speak, and David didn't speak either. In front of his father, David always had a sense of fear, but Barbara kept nagging. "David, I'm back, I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a girlfriend, although my family is poor now. If you two work hard, life will get better. Your dad can save some money by sweeping the streets. I'll ask your 6th aunt to introduce you to someone. We won't dislike the second marriage. When you get married and have children, everything will be fine. Don't go looking for that Delia. She is now the young lady of the Xiao family. We can't afford it, we can hide it. Remember this time, but don't be stupid. If you go in once, Mom's old life will really be gone." Barbara kept nagging, but David could only nod in response. After eating, David took the initiative to clean up the dishes, while Chen Baogua changed into the clothes of a sanitation worker and prepared to go to work. "Dad, don't go sweeping the streets. Now that I'm back, leave the family affairs to me," David said, took out a key. "I have a friend who lent me in an used house. Let's clean it up and stop living here. The house here is too dilapidated, and the environment is not good." David wanted to take his parents to Pine Bay to live there, but he didn't dare to tell the truth. He could only say that it was borrowed by a friend. Chapter 20. As for the 10 million bank card, David did not dare to let his parents know that he had no way to explain the origin of the money. "Did you tell your parents that after 3 years in prison, after cultivating immortality, You still became the master of the Heavenly Dragon Palace? I am afraid that after finishing speaking, his parents will lock him up as a neurotic. A friend's house. Where is your friend's house? Barbara asked curiously. In Pine Bay. David tried his best to calm himself down. What? Barbara and Chinbaugua exclaimed at the same time. You must know that Pine is the most expensive community in the whole Horrendal. The people living in it are either rich or expensive. Even if Chinbaugua has not lost his job, even if he has worked for 100 years, he is afraid that he will not be able to buy a house in Pine. What friend of yours actually owns a house in Pine Bay and lent it to you? Chinbaugua questioned David with a cold face. I'm just a friend of mine, David said vaguely. Humph. Chinbaugua snorted coldly. Do you think your mother and I are stupid? Then you lie to us. How could you have such a friend? And no one will lend you the house in Pine Bay. If you don't learn well in prison, you will learn your bragging skills, so you can find a job in a down-to-earth way and stop daydreaming. After Chinbaugua finished speaking, he put on his work clothes and was about to leave. He didn't believe that David could borrow a house in Pine Bay. Dad, you haven't seen it yet. Why do you say I'm bragging? I'm so big. Is it that hard for you to admit me once? Today I have to take you guys to move in there. David shouted loudly. Since he was a child, Chinbaugua never praised David. Even if David excelled in university studies and became the president of the student union, he still did not get the approval of Chinbaugua. This may be Chinbaugua's education method. Okay. Barbara hurriedly dissuaded. Old man, you said that you are true. The child just came out. Can't you speak better? Barbara reprimanded Chinbaugua for a few words, then turned to David and said, David, Mom believes what you said. You take Mom to Pine Bay for a walk. I've never been there before. Mom, I'll go out and call a taxi and pack up the things in the house by the way. After David finished speaking, he walked out, and when passing by Chinbaugua, David whispered, Dad, I really didn't lie to you. You will know when you go with me. After David left, Chinbaugua hesitated and finally took off his overalls. Pinehurst Villa area. The security guard standing on both sides, one with his head held high. To be a security guard here is an extremely honorable thing. It doesn't matter the back door, it is impossible to come in. A taxi stopped steadily at the entrance of the Pinehurst Villa. Upon seeing this, a security guard hurried forward and stopped the taxi. What do you do? The security guard asked curiously. He has been a security guard here for 3 years, and he has never seen him come to Pine Bay. He came here as a taxi. Who can live here, who is not a wealthy businessman? There are several cars at home, and even several drivers. We are the owners here. David stepped down from the co-pilot and said politely to the security guard. Owner. The security guard glanced at David, then looked at David's parents in the taxi, and suddenly sneered. I have seen people like you a lot. If you want to visit Pine Bay, just walk around outside. You are not allowed inside. The meaning of the security guard is obvious. That is, he does not believe that David is the owner. Whether it's from David's clothes or the appearance of David's parents in the car, they don't look like people who can afford a house in Pine Bay. Because of the beautiful scenery of Pine Bay, there are many people pretending to be owners and then infiltrating Pine Bay for a walk. It is regarded as a tourist, and the security guard also regards David as such a person. Chapter 21. David frowned. I'm really the owner here. I have the key to the house inside. David said and took out the key. This key was given to David by Reuben. The key was inlaid with the golden pine logo. It was very delicate, and the authenticity of the key could be seen at a glance. The security guard took the key and looked at David again. Say, where did this key come from? This is the key to the Hilltop Villa in Pine. This villa is the most expensive. It was bought by Master Sue. Why? Maybe it's in your hands? When David heard it, he was stunned. He didn't expect that the villa that Reuben gave him was the most expensive one in Pine Bay. This gift is really not small. This is what Mr. Sue gave me. David said truthfully. Nonsense, I think if you definitely stole this or picked it up, how could it be given to you? The security guard shouted loudly, then waved his hand, and 4 or 5 security guards surrounded him. Take care of them, I'll call. The security guard gave an order just now, and then hurriedly left with the car key. Seeing this, Chen Baogua hurriedly pulled Barbara out of the taxi, and the taxi driver was also frightened, put down David's things, and drove away. David, what's wrong? What happened? Barbara couldn't see it, so she could only ask suspiciously. Mom, it's all right, we'll go in after a while, it's just a routine inspection, the security of Pine Bay is very strict. David comforted Barbara. Of course, this is the best villa area in Horrendal. Mom can smell the fragrance of flowers here. Barbara looked excited. Chen Baogua looked at David angrily. Now they were stopped and surrounded by security. Obviously something went wrong. He didn't believe that David would have a friend who would lend him a house in Pine Bay. At this moment, a black Mercedes-Benz slowly stopped in front of David and them. Hey, isn't this David? How did your family come here? With so many things, wouldn't it be moving to Pine Bay? The door opened, and Fu Wei stepped down from the co-pilot, looking at David with a sarcastic expression. Then Delia and Jiang Wenjing also got out of the car. The three of them jokingly looked at David's family. They also came to Pine Bay, mainly because Delia wanted to show off the wedding room Jordan bought in Pine Bay, so they brought Fu Wei and Jiang Wenjing here. As a result, we happened to encounter such a scene, and the three of them just happened to watch the excitement. David glanced at the three people coldly and ignored them. How is this going? Delia asked a security guard. The security guard didn't dare to offend Delia when he saw that Delia was dressed beautifully and was driving a Mercedes-Benz, and said in a low voice, "Miss, these people said they were the owners of Pine Bay, and they even took out the keys to the villa inside. Our captain suspects that key was picked up or stolen by them, so I went to check." As soon as the security guard's words came out, the three of Delia burst into laughter, out of breath. "Ha! David, you are such a goddamn talent. Take the villa key and come running and say that you are the owner. Are you stupid yourself, or are you treating others as a fool?" Fu Wei smiled, his eyes full of ridicule. "Do you know how much the villa here costs? Can you afford it? With your old road sweeper, you won't be able to buy a villa here for 100 years. Jiang Wenjing couldn't help laughing. "Hurry up and drive these people away, especially this guy. He is a reform-through labor prisoner and was released today. If you let him in, it will affect the reputation of the community." Delia pointed at David and said. Chapter 22. When several security guards heard this, they all became nervous and took out their batons. If David was really a prisoner of reform through labor who had just been released, the owners of the community would definitely feel uncomfortable when they found out. "David, why don't you get out of here with your blind mother and your street sweeper? Do you really need the security guard to leave?" Fu Wei looked at David with a sneer. "What did you say?" David clenched his fists tightly when he heard Fu Wei talking about his parents. "Why, you still want to hit me?" Fu Wei was not afraid at all. He couldn't help laughing and walked up to David. "I know you studied in prison twice, but do you know what this place is? Do you want to do it? Believe it or not, I am sending you in." Fu Wei looked arrogant and pushed David fiercely. "David, let's go, let's go." Barbara took David's arm and said in a pleading voice. She was afraid that David was causing trouble. She had to know that David had just been released today and had a criminal record. If she was sent in again because of a fight, Barbara would really not have the courage to live. At this time, Chen Baogua's face was blue with anger, and he glared at David and said, "If you don't take your things and go back, you will be embarrassed." Chen Baogua began to pack his things and was about to walk back with his back. He really couldn't afford to lose this man. Hurry up, let me see you, I will definitely avenge the revenge of that slap." Fu Wei scolded David fiercely. "Okay, hurry up and get in the car. Talking to this kind of person will lose your identity." Delia called out to Fu Wei, then the three of them got into the car and drove directly into the Pinehurst Villa area. "Mom, wait a minute, this villa is really lent to me by a friend." David persuaded Barbara not to worry. Wait for what? Waiting for a while to be embarrassed and beaten out. Chen Baogua shouted at David. David opened his mouth to refute and wanted to quarrel with his father, but looking at his father's white hair, David's words came to his mouth and he swallowed them back. At this moment, the security captain with the key ran back in a hurry, and after seeing David he immediately flattered, "Mr. Chen, I'm really sorry, We made a mistake, damn it, now we send you up. After finishing speaking, the security captain yelled at the security guards with batons, "Don't put away the sticks, go drive, and take Mr. Chen's family in." Oh! Several security guards nodded hurriedly, then drove to a car, loaded things into the car, and sent David's family into Pine Bay. In the car, Chen Baogua's face changed and changed. He wanted to talk to David, but he didn't know what to say. "David, I didn't expect it to be true. What kind of friend are you? Who dares to lend you such a villa?" Barbara was sitting in the car, smelling the fragrance of the flowers in the Pinehurst Villa area, not to mention her excitement. "Mom, if you have a chance, I'll let you meet my friend." David knew that Barbara was curious, so he planned to find an opportunity for Sonia to meet his parents. In front of a villa halfway up the mountain in Pine Bay, Delia's car stopped, and all three got out of the car. "Delia, you are so lucky. This villa is so luxurious, and with this scenery, if I had a house like this, I would be willing to live 10 years less." Jiang Wenjing looked at the villa in front of her with envy in her eyes. "What's the matter? This Pinehurst villa? But the more expensive it is, the more expensive it is. The most expensive one is the villa on the roof, and I don't know that it was bought by the big guy," Delia said, looking towards the direction of the top of the mountain. Chapter 23. At this moment, a car passed in front of them, the window was open, David's face was exposed, with a sneer on his face, he was looking at the three of Delia. "David, isn't the man in the car David?" Fu Wei was the first to spot David and shouted loudly. Delia and Jiang Wenjing also discovered David at this time. Seeing the sneer on David's face, Delia was furious. "How did this guy get in? Are these security guards trash?" Delia roared. "Could this guy really be the owner? Didn't you see that the driver was also a security guard and sent them in?" Jiang Wenjing frowned, looking puzzled. "They are still driving up the mountain. Are their villas still up there?" Fu Wei also raised his head, watching the vehicle drive farther and farther, higher and higher. "Impossible. It is absolutely impossible for David to buy a house here. I know the details of his family best." Delia vehemently denied that. She knew that David could not have the money to buy a house here. "Will it be given to him by the Su family? I remember that Mr. Su said that David seemed to save his life." Jiang Wenjing analyzed it carefully. "It's possible." Fu Wei nodded. This guy didn't know what kind of ity he had, but he saved Mr. Su's life. Otherwise, David would definitely die at the Regal Hotel today. Delia gritted her teeth, then opened the car door and said, "Follow up and have a look." Delia must check to see if David really has a house in this Pine Bay. Delia's Mercedes-Benz followed, watching David and the others driving all the way to the top of the mountain. This David's house is not the most expensive one on the top of the mountain, right? Jiang Wenjing looked at the car in front of him driving all the way to the top of the mountain, and said in shock, "How is it possible that the house on the top of the mountain is worth at least 100 million? Even if David's family is sold, he can't afford it. Even if it is given by the Su family, it is impossible to be generous enough to give away a house worth 100 million. Fu Wei couldn't believe it. But soon, the car in front really reached the top of the mountain, but Delia and their Mercedes-Benz were stopped. "Hello, lady, you can't go forward because it's a private place." A security guard stopped Delia's car. David had already discovered that Delia and the others were following, and seeing that they were stopped, a sneer appeared on David's face. After reaching the top of the mountain, the entire top of the mountain is surrounded by clouds and mist, like a fairyland. Chen Baogua and David were stunned by this scene. Barbara couldn't see it, but she felt the fresh air around her, and her face was full of intoxication. Several security guards moved David and his things into the house, and the security captain apologized to David again before leaving. "Mom, you and my dad will live here in the future. The air here is very good and suitable for you to recuperate." David took Barbara's hand and walked towards the villa. When Chen Baogua entered the villa, he was stunned. He had never seen such a magnificent appearance in his life. At this time, Chen Baogua opened his mouth. He wanted to apologize to David. After all, he had misunderstood, but no matter how hard he tried, Chen Baogua couldn't say anything. After walking around the house, David said, "Dad, Mom, I'll take you outside for a walk and get to know the road. Don't get lost by then." All right, tell Mom about it." Although Mom can't see it, she can feel it. Barbara's face was full of wrinkles when she smiled. "Mom, don't worry, I will definitely heal your eyes." David took his parents out of the villa and admired the view from the top of the mountain. Chapter 24. While introducing Barbara, David felt a trace of freshness from nature, which was also mixed with aura. To know that David cultivates, all he needs is aura. The aura here is obviously much richer than the one below, which is more helpful for David to practice. This is really a good place to practice. David couldn't help sighing. "What did you say?" Barbara asked. "Oh, nothing, I said this is a really good place to retire." David smiled faintly. When they turned to the road where they came, they found that the three of Delia had not left. At this time, the three of them saw David appear, and all focused their attention on David. David looked at Delia and the others with a sneer. A few people were separated by a gate in the middle, but this gate became a symbol of two identities. David looked down at the three with disdain in his eyes. Looking at David like that, Delia gritted her teeth in anger. She couldn't understand how this David became the owner of the hilltop villa. "David, your friend is really good. I'm willing to lend you such a nice villa. When you have time, ask your friend to have a meal together." Barbara didn't know that Delia was right in front of her, so she said to David, "Okay." David nodded. "Damn, it turned out to be borrowed. I thought it was his." When Delia heard this, she felt a lot of joy in her heart. "I asked a friend to ask. This villa belongs to the Su family. It seems that David borrowed it to pretend to be coercive." Fu Wei took the mobile phone and looked at the information above and said, "This guy saved that Ruben's life. This is the plan to eat on the Su family for a lifetime. He even borrowed the villa to pretend to be a force." Jiang Wenjing sneered. All three looked at David with contempt, and no longer had the dwarf-headed feeling just now. "Even if I borrowed the villa, I'm better than you. If you have the ability, come up." David listened to the sour mockery of the three, and hooked his hands towards the three. "David, don't be complacent. I don't believe the Su family will protect you for the rest of your life." Delia spat fiercely and turned away. They didn't like the way they looked up at David like this. "David, don't have any contact with that Delia in the future. That kind of woman is a snake and scorpion. Anyone who gets close will be bitten." After Barbara heard Delia's voice, she persuaded David. "Mom, I see, let's go around." David supported Barbara and continued to turn around, and Shinbaogua followed behind with his hands behind his back. "After I was tired from shopping, I went back to the villa to rest." At this time, a red Porsche stopped at the entrance of the villa. David saw that it was Sonia who was here. "Miss Su, why are you here?" David asked in surprise. "Don't always call me from Miss Su. Miss Su, I have a name, just call me Sonia." Sonia said to David, "I heard that the security guard here called and said that they suspected that you had stolen the keys and stopped you. I was afraid of some misunderstanding, so I rushed over." Seeing that Sonia came here specially for this matter, David said with gratitude, "It's all right, the misunderstanding has been explained clearly, but there is something I need your help." "What's the matter? Tell me." Sonia nodded. "I told my parents that the house was borrowed. You just happened to be here, so go in and help me deal with it, and say that you lent me the house. I don't want my parents to know about many things." David said in a low voice. "It's easy to do." Sonia smiled slightly and thought about walking inside the villa, but just after taking 2 steps, Sonyadenly turned her head to look at David. "Do you think I am meeting my parents?" Ugh. David was at a loss for words and was stunned on the spot. Chapter 25. "Just kidding with you, it scared you." Sonia smiled and walked into the villa. David gave a wry smile and followed suit. In fact, after Sonia just said what she said to her parents, David's heart really throbbed. He is just an ordinary person who can't be more ordinary, and Sonia is the eldest miss of the Su family. The difference between the two's identities is too great, so David is a little scared. "Dad, Mom, this is the friend I told you to lend me a house, Sonia." Entering the villa, David followed Chinbaogua and Barbara to introduce. As soon as they heard that this house belonged to someone else, Barbara and Chinbaogua, who were sitting on the sofa, hurriedly stood up. "Hello, Uncle. Hello, Auntie. I came in a hurry, and I didn't buy any gifts for the two of you," Sonia said very politely. "Miss Sue is very kind. You can lend such a nice house to my family, David. Our family doesn't know what to say. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid we would never be able to live in such a nice house in our lifetime." Barbara looked humble. After speaking, she pushed Chinbaogua next to her. "Old man, hurry up and pour tea for Miss Sue." "Oh." Chinbaogua nodded hurriedly. Chinbaogua looked stupid just now. He really didn't expect David to have such a beautiful friend, and looking at Sonia's dress and temperament, she must be the daughter of a big family and a wealthy family, otherwise it would be impossible to buy Pine Villa. If Chinbaogua were to know that Sonia was the daughter of Reuben, the richest man in Horrendal, he would be shocked. "Uncle, don't be busy, I'll do it myself." Sonia hurried up to meet her and poured herself a cup of tea, and then poured a cup of red jujube tea for Chinbaogua and Barbara. This is Sonia's home, of course she knows where things are. "Uncle, Auntie, this is red jujube tea. It has a faint sweet taste, but it is very effective in lowering lipids and blood pressure. It is suitable for your elderly to drink." Sonia put the tea in front of Chinbaogua and Barbara. "Miss Sue is too polite, although I can't see it, but I can tell from the voice that Miss Sue is a beautiful woman with a kind heart. If anyone can marry Miss Sue, it will be a blessing in 8 lifetimes." Barbara said something in her words. No matter what Sonia's identity is, to be able to lend such an expensive villa to David, it proves that he doesn't hate David, and even has a good impression of David, otherwise, who would be an ordinary friend who would lend such an expensive villa? So Barbara thought about what Sonia said. Let's see what Sonia means. "Auntie, how can I be as good as you say? In fact, I have a bad temper, and David thought I was bad, and even yelled at me." How could Sonia not understand the meaning of Barbara's words, so she smiled and said half-jokingly, "Really?" Barbara was stunned and immediately waved to Sonia. "Miss Sue, you come to me. In fact, my family David is usually quite honest, but sometimes he looks like a stubborn donkey. That's up to his father. If he dares to yell at you, tell me, and I will teach him a lesson for you." When Sonia heard this, she giggled. "Like a stubborn donkey?" While laughing, Sonia did not forget to look at David, making David look embarrassed. "Mom, don't talk nonsense. People are still busy and don't have time to sit and chat with you." David was planning to let Sonia leave, otherwise, he might not know what else Barbara could say. "It's okay, I like chatting with Auntie." Sonia actually sat next to Barbara. This time, Barbara couldn't close her mouth with a smile, grabbed Sonia's hand, and the two started chatting for more than 2 hours, until it was dark and Sonia left. Chapter 26. David, Miss Sue is really good. You can tell she's a big lady by listening to her words, but she doesn't have any airs at all. You have to work hard. Sonia walked back. Barbara said to David, "Mom, we are just ordinary friends." David said helplessly, "David, I think Miss Sue is not bad. Listen to your mother's words and work hard. Your father is always right." At this time, Chinbaogua also spoke. You must know that Chinbaogua would not follow David to say these words easily. This time, it seemed that he really liked Sonia. He felt that Sonia was good, so he persuaded David. "Okay, don't worry about it." David was speechless for a while and walked into the bedroom. After entering the bedroom, David did not lie down to sleep directly, but sat cross-legged, closed his eyes slightly, his mind moved, and the concentration art began to activate, and the surrounding spiritual energy rushed towards David like a tide. For the past 3 years, David has been persevering in his cultivation and has never rested for a day. This is also the request of Irvin. Although he is out of prison and Irvin can no longer control him, David will persevere. Soon, the aura from the top of the mountain, accompanied by David's breathing, slowly entered David's body. These auras formed a small vortex around David's body and were then inhaled by David. Now David is only at the strength of the chi training period, so he absorbs less spiritual energy in breathing. Even if he inhales a lot of spiritual energy, his current body cannot be consumed all at once. He needs to gradually increase his strength. Time flies, and soon the sun appears on the horizon, and David slowly opened his eyes. Taking a long breath, David felt that his body was more comfortable than ever before. The spiritual energy here is much richer and purer than that in the prison. After practicing, there is no trace of fatigue. David, it's time for breakfast. Barbara's voice sounded outside. David stretched his muscles and bones, opened the door and walked out. The breakfast was made by Chen Baogua. It was very rich, and after Sonia's arrival yesterday, Chen Baogua's attitude towards David was obviously much softer, at least with a smile on his face, not so old-fashioned. After breakfast, Barbara asked Chen Baogua to accompany him to go out for a walk, while David planned to go down the mountain and go to an antique market to see if he could find spiritual brushes and cinnabar. He wants to cure his mother's illness as soon as possible, so that his mother can see the light again. Halfway up the mountain, in Delia's villa, Delia, Fu Wei and Jiang Wenjing stayed here without leaving at night. At this time, Delia looked angry, thinking of the wedding that was destroyed by David yesterday. She was not angry for a while, and now David is still living on top of her head. How can Delia endure it? Fu Wei, when will the buddies you mentioned arrive? Delia asked Fu Wei. Come on, my buddies are all trainers, and it's more than enough to fight David, and they are all mixed in the Tao, absolutely enough loyalty. Fu Wei knew that Delia was not angry, so he called a few friends to come over, ready to deal with David, and also to avenge himself with a slap in the face. That's good. I don't believe that David will never go down the mountain, and the Su family can take care of him for the rest of his life. Delia gritted her teeth. This rubbish broke Brother Lei's arm and ruined my wedding, damn it. After speaking angrily, Delia looked at Fu Wei and said, I'm going to the hospital to see Brother Lei, and I'll leave David's affairs to you. Once the matter is done, the benefits will not be less. No problem, just wait for my good news. Fu Wei nodded happily. Chapter 27. David walked down the mountain, but just as he was halfway up the mountain, he was stopped by 4 or 5 people. David, I've been waiting for you for a long time, and you've come down. Fu Wei looked at David with a sneer. Behind Fu Wei, several people were holding sticks with fierce expressions on their faces. Wait for me. David glanced at Fu Wei coldly. If it's a fight, you are not enough for me to fight. Yesterday, I brought down a dozen people from the Shao family. You think you can deal with them with just a few people? David, I'm afraid you don't know who I am looking for today, so you dare to say such a big thing, and you will know when you kneel down and beg for mercy and cry for your father and mother. Fu Wei smiled and didn't take David seriously at all. Yesterday Fu Wei saw it. The dozen or so bald people were all gangsters, and they had no strength at all. They were knocked down with one punch by David. But today was different. The few people he was looking for were all trainees, and they were all good players with 1 against 10, and it was more than enough to deal with David. It seems that a slap really hit you lightly, and you should have broken your hands and feet at that time, so you don't have to jump in front of me. David glanced at Fu Wei and said, Damn, you are still mentioning what happened yesterday. If I beat you to the ground and beg for mercy today, I will not be named Fu. As Fu Wei said, he turned to look at the few people behind him and said, Brothers, beat this kid to the ground and beg for mercy. Someone will pay 100,000 for hard work. Whether or not you can earn this money is up to you. As soon as they heard that there were 100,000 hard work fees, the eyes of several people began to light up. Don't worry, you said let him cry, we will never let him laugh. You said let him kneel, we will never let him stand. Just because this kid is so weak, I'll make him cry for his father and mother. Several people looked at David with disdain, and they didn't take David seriously at all. The 100,000 is from Delia, right? David asked Fu Wei. Yes, I'm not afraid to tell you, don't you dare to trouble her? You beat the son of the Shao family, it is impossible for the Shao family to let you go, I'm just giving you an appetizer in advance. Fu Wei nodded unabashedly. Well, it seems that I really shouldn't be merciful. David spread out his hands helplessly, and then suddenly kicked Fu Wei. Hearing a bang, Fu Wei's body flew out instantly. A few people who were still full of disdain just now, their expressions froze for a moment, and they all couldn't believe the scene in front of them. To know that it takes a lot of strength to kick people away with one kick, it seems that David really has 2 strokes. Cough, cough, cough. Fu Wei fell to the ground, coughed up a mouthful of blood, and then roared hideously, "Kill him, kill him." 4 or 5 people glanced at each other, remembering the hard work of 100,000, and they all rushed forward with gritted teeth. These people really have practiced, and cooperate with each other tacitly. "Tiny!" David sneered, and then went up to meet him. Bang, bang, bang. In less than half a minute, all the trainees whom Fu Wei had found fell to the ground and wailed, each with a very painful expression. This time, Fu Wei was dumbfounded. He swallowed his saliva, his expression full of surprise. He really couldn't imagine what David had gone through in prison for 3 years. How could he become so powerful? "You must know that the few people I was looking for were all from the martial arts school in the past, and now they are all famous in the Tao, and they were beaten down by David. Are you still killing me?" David looked at Fu Wei playfully, and slowly walked towards Fu Wei, who fell to the ground. What are you going to do?" Fu Wei's face was full of horror, and he kept stepping back. This is Yuan Delia's idea." But before Fu Wei's words were finished, David stepped down and stepped directly on Fu Wei's arm. Fu Wei let out a scream, followed by a severe pain in his entire arm. "Fu Wei's arm is broken. Don't use Delia to oppress me, whether it's her or that Jordan, I won't let them off easily." After David finished speaking, he turned around and left, ignoring Fu Wei's screams. Chapter 28. Horrendal Antique Street. This is the largest antique street in the entire Jiangbei. Many antique lovers will come here to shop for treasures. There are stalls on both sides of the street. In this place, there are almost no things you can't buy, but the authenticity of the things depends on your own ability. Even the knowledgeable experts here have a punch. The counterfeiting technology in this place is too strong. All things are mixed. Whether you can find treasures depends on your own strength and luck. David had never been to such a place before, and now, seeing the dazzling array of things, he felt a little curious. Seeing David like this, many stall owners showed joy on their faces. This is obviously a stunned young man. It is the first time to come here. Such people are best to lie. "Little brother, what do you want? I have everything here, guaranteed to be genuine." A greasy and fat stall owner held David with a warm smile on his face, and then said in David's ear, "I tell you, these things I have dug out of the ground, and they have been around for thousands of years. History, if you buy it, the price is guaranteed to double." David glanced at the stall owner of the fat man. The stall was only 2 meters long, and there were more than a dozen scattered items. They looked very old, and some bronzes were covered with patina. Seeing David looking at his stall, the fat stall owner became even more enthusiastic. "Little brother, you can choose whatever you like and see which one you like? Because I have patients at home, I am anxious to sell these things, otherwise I will not sell them." Woolen cloth. David ignored the stall owner, but squatted down, picked up a rusty iron lump, and looked at it carefully. Because these things in front of them are all lifeless, only this inconspicuous iron lump, which actually exudes a trace of spiritual energy. "Little brother, you really have a good eye. This is a guard waist badge from the Qing dynasty, but it was soaked in water under the ground, and now it's rusted into an iron lump. But it is also an item in the palace. If you like it, 10,000 the block is sold to you." The fat stall owner saw that David was looking at the iron lump, and immediately introduced enthusiastically. "This fat man, I'm afraid he will make another fortune. I don't know where to pick up the broken iron lump, but he dares to ask for 10,000. This kind of stunned young man doesn't understand anything. It's best to lie. This time it falls into the hands of the fat man, and he will definitely be slaughtered." The surrounding vendors whispered and whispered, casting envious glances at the fat stall owner. "However, it's really good stuff." David nodded, holding the iron lump. He felt more and more filled with spiritual energy inside. When the fat stall owner heard this, he smiled secretly, and then said solemnly, "Of course, I'm all good things, I never lie. If it wasn't for my family's illness, I wouldn't sell it for 10,000. Well, these are all my sweethearts. The fat stall owner said. His eyes were red, and he even shed a few tears. David looked at the poor acting skills of the fat stall owner and smiled coldly in his heart. 10,000, I want it, I'll transfer the money to you. David did not hesitate. He took out his mobile phone and prepared to transfer money. When the fat stall owner heard this, he immediately burst into joy, took the QR code and said, "Little brother is really refreshing, but there is one thing I need to make clear. This thing won't go away. You can stop looking for it for a while. I'm here to return it, then I won't return it. Don't worry, since I bought it, I won't return it." I slapped the eye, and I consider myself unlucky. David smiled and swept away 10,000 for the fat stall owner. Hearing the news that the money had arrived, the fat stall owner laughed. Chapter 29. At this time, many people around saw that David spent 10,000 to buy the rusty iron bump, and they all talked about it, pointing and sneering on their faces. As young as David, he still wants to come to the antique street to Taba. Obviously he is the master of the slaughter. David ignored the comments of the people around him and didn't care about the sound of the fat stall owner laughing. With a slight sound, the iron lump actually opened a gap in David's hand, and then the gap got bigger and bigger. Damn, this kid is really strong. I bought it for 10,000, is it just to practice hand strength? It doesn't look like a rich person when you look at it. It was damaged just after you bought it. Is it so arrogant? Everyone in the audience felt incredible. Even the fat stall owner looked straight at David, wondering what David was going to do. Soon, the iron lump burst, and then a dazzling light shone from it. A piece of jade only the size of a thumb, but crystal clear, emerald green, appeared inside. David took out the jade and threw away the rusty shell. The aura just came from the jade. Imperial green, this is imperial green. Get rich, I rely on, get rich. Does this kid know there's something in there? Everyone was dumbfounded, and the fat stall owner's eyes widened, and his eyes were about to pop out. David took the jade, looked at it, and put it in his pocket. This thing is a jade pendant to bring to his mother, which can ward off cold and evil spirits and nourish the body. Just as David put the jade in his pocket and was about to leave, the fat stall owner stopped him. "Little brother, discuss something, sell this stone to me." The fat stall owner asked with a smile on his face. "Not for sale." David shook his head, ready to bypass the fat stall owner and leave. Seeing that David didn't sell it and insisted on leaving, the fat stall owner's face turned cold, and he changed his friendly face just now, showing a stern look on his face. "Little brother, are you mistaken? This jade belongs to me. What are you doing? Can you take it away?" "Yours." David was stunned. "I just bought this. How did it become yours? So many people are watching. What I sold to you was just the lump of iron on the ground. I didn't sell you this jade. You can take that lump of iron, but the jade must be kept." After the fat stall owner finished speaking, 5 or 6 burly men rushed out of the house behind him, each with a bad face. This guy is still too young. He knows that there is something in it. Go home and open it. Open it here. Isn't that looking for trouble? It's unfortunate this time, the treasure in hand is about to fly, and the Emperor Green is worth at least 1 million. I think it's more than 1 million. The people around felt sorry for David, but no one came forward to say a word for him. David looked at the big men who came out, and the corner of his mouth raised slightly. "You are a black shop, blatantly grabbing things. Stop talking nonsense, hand over the jade, and I'll let you go, otherwise you'll never want to leave." The fat stall owner has completely torn his face and no longer pretends to be. "I have heard that the antique street hides filth, and it seems to be true. I want to see it today. If I don't hand over the jade, what can you do to me?" David smiled coldly with no fear on his face. David's words offended the entire antique street, and many stall owners around him yelled, and even asked the fat stall owner to hurry up and teach David a lesson. "Boy, you are courting death." After the fat stall owner finished speaking, he punched David with one punch. The wind is howling. Obviously this fat stall owner has practiced, otherwise it is impossible to have such speed and strength. Think about it. If you don't have a second chance, how dare you open a store here to deceive people? Chapter 30. David snorted coldly, and directly stretched out his hand and slapped it out. The last one came first. David slapped the fat stall owner on the greasy face and turned the fat stall owner a few times. Half of his face was red and swollen, and he had a fat head and big ears. Now his face is swollen again, this time it looks like a pig's head. Give it to me, kill him. The fat stall owner roared. Several burly men charged directly towards David, roaring from their mouths. Bang bang bang. But just rushed up, in the blink of an eye, all the strong men were kicked back by David, and then fell to the ground and couldn't get up again. This time, everyone was stunned. The shouting merchants just now closed their mouths one by one, and some even sneaked away. They knew that they encountered a ruthless person today. After being stunned for a moment, the fat stall owner said with a grim face, "Boy, you dare to make trouble in Antique Street. Do you know who is covering this place? This is the site of Jiatang, and it is covered by Tiger Lord. Just wait. Die." The fat stall owner knew that as soon as the word Jiatang came out, even if the King of Heaven came, he would tremble 3 times. There are a lot of people making troubles in Antique Street, and even the inspector, the pavilion owner and other big figures. But so what? Who doesn't slap the butt and leave when they move out of the Ji Hall? Jiatang? David smiled coldly. If I say I'm not afraid of Jiatang, what can you do? Who's not afraid of me gathering in Yitong? As soon as David's voice fell, a lingering voice came, and then the onlookers instantly got out of the way. A man with a scar on the left side of his face came over, followed by a dozen people behind the man, each with a fierce look. Whether it was a street vendor or a crowd watching, after seeing these people, one by one clearly showed fear. When the fat stall owner saw the man, he immediately climbed over. "Brother Scar, this kid is making trouble here, and he even robbed me of the jade that I want to honor Tiger Lord. That's Emperor Green. Tiger Lord likes it the most." This fat stall owner's ability to see the wind and the rudder is truly amazing. Imperial Green? Scar's eyes lit up. "Boy, take out the jade and take a look. Are you from Lin Tianhu?" David looked at Scarface and asked, "Damn, can you call the name of Lord Tiger too?" The fat stall owner jumped up, pointed at David and said, "This is Brother Scar, the #1 general under Lord Tiger's account, and the security of this Antique Street is Scar is in charge." David ignored the fat stall owner, but looked at Scar's face and showed his ring. "Do you know this ring?" Scarface glanced carefully, and said with a look of disdain, "A broken copper ring, what is there to know? Now you hand over the jade, I can forgive you for being disrespectful to Lord Tiger." David took out the jade. The emerald green jade shone brightly, making the scarred face gleam in the eyes. "Quick, leave it to me." Scarface beckoned to David. David played with the jade and said lightly, "Since you don't know my ring, let Lin Tianhu come. As long as he comes and wants this jade, I can give it to him." "What did you say?" Scar's face became annoyed. "Is the Tiger Master you can see if you want? Who do you think you are? It seems that I have to force me to do something I don't know. If you don't call, I can call him." David took out his mobile phone. "Do you have a phone number for Lord Tiger?" Scarface frowned. To know who Lin Tianhu is, not everyone can have Lin Tianhu's phone number. Now that David has Lin Tianhu's phone number, it can't be an ordinary person. 139322. David directly reported Lin Tianhu's phone number, looked at Scar's face and said, "Did you call or I call?" Chapter 31. Scarface was stunned for a while, then he slowly took out his mobile phone and called Lin Tianhu. He didn't know who David was, but he didn't dare to let him call Lin Tianhu. Soon, the phone was connected, and Lin Tianhu's lazy voice came from the opposite side. Obviously, it was time, and Lin Tianhu hadn't gotten up yet. "Master Tiger, someone is making trouble in Antique Street, saying he knows you, let me call you." Scarface said cautiously. "Who are you? What's your name?" Lin Tianhu asked. "I don't know what his name is, but he wears a copper ring on his hand with a dragon on it, and it seems that there is a command word, ask me if I recognize it." Scarface said, "Grass." Lin Tianhu jumped off the bed with a squeak when he heard it. "Scarface, I tell you, You have served this man for a long time for me. If you dare to make him unhappy, I will kill you. Family, you remembered it for me? After Lin Tianhu finished speaking, he hung up the phone, put on his clothes, and hurried towards Antique Street. Scarface listened to the busy voice on the other side, and his expression changed. He had followed Lin Tianhu for more than 10 years, and he had never seen Lin Tianhu in such a panic. Putting down the phone, Scar's face looked at David, and the whole person was shaking like a sieve. Brother Scar, this guy is just talking nonsense. How could Master Tiger know such a stunned young man? He just lied to you. Hurry up and get the jade back. The fat stall owner hadn't noticed the strangeness of Scar's face, so he looked at David with disdain and said, "Snapped." Just finished speaking, Scarface gave the fat stall owner a slap in the face. "You five-tard, what nonsense is? It's obviously you who buy and sell. Don't think I don't know. I think you don't want to stay here anymore." The fat stall owner was slapped in the face by the Scar, and he was directly slapped in a circle. He didn't know what happened, but some shrewd people seemed to see something at this time, and knew that David must have a very hard backstage. "Sir, I'm really sorry just now. You rest first, our Tiger Lord will be here soon." Scar followed David with a flattering face. He didn't know David, and he didn't know that David was the master of their dragon sect. In fact, many members of Ji Hall didn't even know that they were members of the dragon sect. These were all secrets, and only a few insiders knew about them. As soon as David heard that Lin Tianhu was coming, he planned to wait a while. He searched blindly like him, not knowing when he would find the spirit pen and cinnabar. Since Lin Tianhu is covering the Antique Street, he must be familiar with the things here, so David planned to ask Lin Tianhu, "Don't hurry up and bring a chair for Mr." Scarface kicked the fat stall owner fiercely. "Oh!" The fat stall owner was stupid, and hurriedly moved a chair from the room and let David sit down. About 10 minutes later, there was a sudden break sound, and Lin Tianhu opened the door and ran over. Everyone looked at Lin Tianhu coming, all lowered their heads, and no one dared to carry them away, while Lin Tianhu ran to David and panted, "Dian! Mr. Chen, when you come to Antique Street, let me know in advance. I'm still with you, I'm familiar with this area. I'm just wandering around," David said lightly. Lin Tianhu looked at Scarface and asked, "Scarface, what's going on?" Scar's face wasn't very clear either, so he could only tell what he knew in 1510. Lin Tianhu was not stupid, he could understand what was going on just by guessing. "Damn, using my name to cheat and kidnap here, damn it." Lin Tianhu cursed, smashed the booth, threw this guy out with broken limbs, and never allowed to enter the Antique Street again. When the fat stall owner heard this, he was immediately frightened and slumped on the ground. "Master Tiger, Lord Tiger, spare your life." The fat stall owner kept begging for mercy, but it was useless at all, and soon screams sounded, and the fat stall owner was carried away. Everyone was so scared that their faces turned pale, especially the nearby stall owners who had just yelled at David, and some of them were scared to pee their pants. Chapter 32. Scarface, let these people go, what's so beautiful? Lin Tianhu said to the scarred face. Get out of here, there's nothing to see, and whoever of you dares to forcefully buy and forcefully sell in the future, this is the end. Scarface roared at everyone, scaring everyone to run away. Mr. Chen, don't know what you like? There's nothing good here, it's all street goods, and the real good things are still inside. Lin Tianhu said to David, I want to buy a spirit pen and cinnabar. I don't know if there are any here. David asked Lin Tianhu. Lin Tianhu was stunned for a moment. He didn't understand what the spirit pen David was talking about, and that cinnabar, wasn't it all over the place? But Lin Tianhu didn't dare to ask, so he could only respectfully say, Mr. Chen, I'll take you to a few antiques for a walk. You can see if there is anything you want. I don't know much about this business. Okay, lead the way. David nodded. Lin Tianhu personally led the way, and the bosses of the antique shops took out all the treasures of the housekeeping, but none of them were favored by David. This time, Lin Tianhu was in a bit of trouble. Mr. Chen, the antique street is so big, all the good things are here, and there is still nothing that Mr. Chen needs. Why don't I send the brothers to look for it elsewhere? No need, this kind of thing can be encountered but not asked for. Even if you encounter it, it's useless if you don't understand it. David waved his hand. It would be useless to ask more people to look for it. That's true. Lin Tianhu nodded. Go ahead, I should go back too. Since there is none, David doesn't want to stay any longer. But just as David was about to leave, Lin Tianhu seemed to remember something and immediately stopped David and said, Mr. Chen, wait a minute. Anything else? David asked. Mr. Chen, I suddenly remembered that there is a place where there may be something you need. After Lin Tianhu finished speaking, he ordered someone to drive the car and asked David to get in the car. In the car, Lin Tianhu introduced him. It turned out that the place he took David to was a mansion. The owner of the mansion was Gu Wenyan, who was once a retired officer from the provincial government. After retreating, Gu Wenyan built a mansion in a beautiful place in Horrendal and then took care of him for a long time. However, Gu Wenyan has a hobby, that is to collect antiques. In Gu Wentian's yard, there are antiques everywhere, some of them are bought from abroad. Compared with Gu Wentian's house, Antique Street is really not one of them. Plus, David didn't expect that such a big man would still have such a big man in Horrendal. If it weren't for the fact that he had learned the skills from the old master for 3 years, the ordinary David would not have come into contact with these big men at all. Soon, the car stopped in a quaint house, and a servant hurried over, followed Lin Tianhu and whispered a few words, and ran back to the house. Soon, an old man with a gray beard and leaning on a cane walked out. After seeing Lin Tianhu, the old man laughed and said, It's a rare visitor to see Lord Tiger. Ancient, you are breaking me, just call me Xiaohu or Lin Tianhu. In front of you, how dare I call myself a master? Lin Tianhu hurriedly took 2 steps forward to meet him, and said politely. The provincial government official, although he has retired, his energy is not small, so Lin Tianhu does not dare to offend him. After Gu Wenyan chatted with Lin Tianhu for a few words, he saw David beside him, looked at him and asked, Master Hu, this young man is a little shy, it's... Oh, this is Mr. Chen. This time, I took Mr. Chen to disturb Gu, and I hope Gu will not take offense. Lin Tianhu hurriedly explained. Hearing that Lin Tianhu addressed David, who was only in his early 20s, as Mr. Gu Wentian's eyes flashed with surprise, but it was only fleeting. Chapter 33. Come in, you two. Gu Wenyan nodded slightly towards David. It was considered a greeting. In his opinion, a young descendant in his early 20s who can be called a gentleman by Lin Tianhu must be rich and powerful in his family, so he is so respected by Lin Tianhu, not because of his strength. Lin Tianhu and David walked into Gu Wentian's house. As soon as they entered, David felt a burst of strong spiritual energy. There were several big trees in the yard that were thick enough to hug, blocking a large area of sunlight. Continue to walk forward, rockery and flowing water, buildings and pavilions, every place exudes a strong ancient fragrance. How old are these ancient trees? David looked at the big trees and couldn't help asking. Because these rich auras are all emitted from these big trees. Mr. Chen, these ancient trees are all hundreds of years old, and it is because of these trees that the ancient courtyard was built here. Lin Tianhu followed David to explain. David nodded slightly, and he understood why Gu Wenyan, a provincial official, chose to come to this little Horrendal to live in his old age. This place has plenty of aura, which is really suitable for old age, and living here for a long time, after being nourished by aura, the body will become younger and tougher. After passing through a corridor, Gu Wenyan led Lin Tianhu and David into the hall. The entire hall was filled with antique furniture, each with a history of over 100 years. There was even a dragon chair carved with 9 giant dragons. In the middle of the hall, there is a golden cushion on the dragon chair, and it seems that someone often sits on it. David frowned slightly at the dragon chair, and his expression became a little weird. Sit down, you two. Gu Wenyan waved his hand casually, and then sat directly on the dragon chair. After Lin Tianhu and David were seated, Gu Wenyan asked the servants to pour tea. Master Tiger, go to the 3 treasures hall for everything. If you need the help of this old man, just say it. Gu Wenyan knew that Lin Tianhu was coming, so he must have something to look for. Lin Tianhu looked at David, and David said, "We know that the ancients love to collect, so we want to ask whether there are spirit pens here in ancient times, the brushes used by ancient great writers, and the cinnabar made from animal blood." Ling pen. Gu Wenyan frowned slightly in thought. Ancient, of course we won't want ancient things for nothing as long as there is ancient here. The price is as old as possible, and I, Lin Tianhu, will never pay back. Lin Tianhu hurriedly said in order to prevent Gu Wenyan from worry. What did Hu Yi say? Gu Wenyan smiled lightly. If I have it, it's okay to give it to you. Does money mean anything to me? Yes, yes, the ancients regarded money as dung. Lin Tianhu nodded again and again. Things like brushes are consumables, so it's almost impossible to keep used brushes. As for the cinnabar made of animal blood, I have never heard of it. Gu Wenyan shook his head, but then continued, but to find this kind of thing, maybe there are more Taoist temples than me here. After all, these Taoist priests need to draw talismans to exorcise ghosts, and the brushes they use may have spirituality. As soon as Gu Wentian's words fell, David was instantly overjoyed, but he forgot about it. The brushes used by the Taoists to exorcise ghosts and draw talismans must have spirituality, including the cinnabar used, so go directly to the Taoist sect to find them. Why come to Antique Street to look around? Thank you for reminding Gu. David got up and gave Gu Wenyan a salute. Haha, you're welcome, I just mentioned it casually. Gu Wenyan laughed. Ancient, dare to ask the dragon chair under you, where did it come from? David asked. What? You can see how extraordinary this dragon chair is. Gu Wenyan said with a proud face, I bought this dragon chair from abroad with a lot of money. This is a real dragon chair, from the Ming dynasty. Something, the real dragon and the emperor sat on it. Gu Wenyan gently stroked the dragon chair under him, and it was obvious that he liked it very much. Chapter 34. The dragon chair is a status symbol, and it is quite imposing to sit under him. Although Gu Wenyan has collected a lot of things, this dragon chair is his favorite thing. Majesty. Ancient, I advise you to burn the dragon chair, maybe you can live longer. David persuaded Gu Wenyan. What do you mean? Gu Wenyan frowned. You're so young, are you cursing me to death? Gu Wenyan was angry. If it wasn't for Lin Tianhu's face, David would not have the right to enter his courtyard. Now this David is actually speaking falsely, how can Gu Wenyan not be angry? The ancients calmed down, Mr. Chen must have his reasons for saying so. Lin Tianhu hurriedly stood up to dissuade Gu Wenyan, then looked at David and said, since Mr. Chen sees some clues, I hope he can truthfully explain that Gu is not an outsider. Of course Lin Tianhu knew that David had the ability, otherwise he would be the master of the dragon sect. Boy, you can't tell the reason today, no one can save you. Gu Wenyan snorted coldly and stood up from the dragon chair. David was not in a hurry and smiled lightly. This dragon chair is really a thing of the emperor, and it is indeed a thing of the Ming dynasty. It's a pity that this dragon chair is full of resentment. If I am not wrong, the former emperor wants it is to die on this dragon chair, otherwise there will be no such great resentment. The reason why I didn't feel anything when sitting on the dragon chair in ancient times is because this place is full of spiritual energy, and it is a land of outstanding places. It temporarily suppressed the resentment on the dragon chair, but now the 9 dragons on the dragon chair are full of resentment. If you keep it, I'm afraid you will die soon. Didn't you see that the 9 dragon heads on the dragon chair are faintly black? After David finished speaking, Gu Wenyan shuddered in consciousness and hurriedly looked at his dragon chair. Sure enough, he saw that the color of the 9 dragon heads was a little different from other places, and it became a little black. Boy, don't bluff me. This faucet's blackening is also caused by oxidation for a long time. What kind of resentment is rushing? It's just nonsense. Gu asked the weather suddenly slapped the table and said, If you don't believe me, forget it. David smiled disdainfully. I wanted to save your life for the sake of you reminding me, but you didn't appreciate it. Maybe this is your fate. Don't look at you feeling well now. But every night you will have nightmares, dreaming that you are trapped by pythons, and finally wake up from suffocation. You have had such a dream for at least a month. After David finished speaking, he turned around and left. Mr. Chen. Lin Tianhu looked embarrassed and hurriedly chased after him. At this time, Gu Wenyan stood there in a daze, and now he has already shaken the river and the sea. To know what he was dreaming, he had never mentioned it to anyone. How could David know it, and he knew it so carefully? Wait a moment. Gu Wenyan quickly chased after him and stopped David. What? Am I right? David asked Gu Wenyan. Gu Wenyan was full of embarrassment and finally nodded and said, Mr. Chen is right, I have been plagued by nightmares recently, and I have the same dream every day. It has been bothering me for a long time. The python in the dream is the 9 dragons on the dragon chair. Now the 9 dragons are full of grievances, and they have not completely turned black. If the 9 dragons turn black, even if De Luo Jingxian descends to the world, I am afraid that they will not be able to save you. David said lightly. Then what should I do now? Gu Wenyan already had confidence in David at this time. To burn this dragon chair, you can't burn it with ordinary fire, but use paper money to light the dragon chair and burn it thoroughly. David said. This, Gu Wenyan looked at the dragon chair. His eyes were full of regret. You must know that this dragon chair was bought from abroad after a lot of effort, and it suddenly burned down. Gu Wenyan was a little reluctant. So he asked David, Mr. Chen, besides burning the dragon chair, is there any other way? Chapter 35. Yes. David nodded. I can suck away the resentment on the dragon chair and eliminate these resentful dragons. When Gu Wenyan heard this, he was overjoyed, then asked Mr. Chen to do it. Why should I help you? In your opinion, am I not a liar? David sneered. When Gu Wenyan heard this, he immediately said with a face full of shame, Mr. Chen, it's the old man Meng Lang. I don't know how he offended Mr. Chen. I hope Mr. Chen will not care about it and can save the old man's life. Gu Wenyan's attitude is very sincere, and his face is sincerely begging David. Seeing this, Lin Tianhu also said to David, Mr. Chen, Gu has no intention of offending, and I hope that Mr. Chen will help Gu, and we will still be able to use ancient places in the future. Lin Tianhu's meaning is obvious. That is, Ji Hall is developing in Horrendal, and there is still a place where Gu Wenyan can be used. Now that David is helping Gu Wenyan, it can be regarded as helping Taipei Hall himself. In the future, as long as Mr. Chen is useful to get the old man's place, I am bound to. Gu Wenyan expresses his position quickly. Seeing this, David nodded and said, I'll help you kill these resentful dragons. With that said, David walked to the dragon chair, and suddenly pressed a hand on the head of a dragon, and then a strange scene happened. I saw the carved dragon, and at this time it began to glow with a faint golden light. Immediately after, a dragon roar sounded, and the sound was very miserable. Lin Tianhu and Gu Wenyan were both shocked. They saw that under the golden light, the 9 dragons all moved, and then they all rose into the air. The 9 dragons exuded black energy and glared at David angrily. It seems that David ruined their good things. In an instant, the entire hall was enveloped in black air, and Lin Tianhu and Gu Wenyan suddenly had difficulty breathing. Several 100-year-old trees in the yard also seemed to sense something, and they started to move automatically without wind, and the leaves clattered into a ball. Lin Tianhu and Gu Wenyan stared at the giant dragon in stunned eyes. Especially Gu Wenyan, his whole body was soaked wet. This is the dragon chair he sits on every day. There is such an evil thing in it. Thinking about it makes me feel scared. A few broken dragons, who have transformed into resentment, dare to go wild. David's expression was indifferent, and he saw that he flicked his hands, and the golden light instantly disappeared into the bodies of those giant dragons. Immediately afterwards, another dragon roar sounded, and several giant dragons disappeared, turning into a cloud of black air, shrouded in David. David opened his mouth and inhaled suddenly. All the black air was sucked into his stomach by David. In an instant, calm was restored in the hall. The concentration technique taught by Irvin is really a good thing, and it can even refine grievances. David was overjoyed. In addition to refining spiritual energy, this condensing heart art can be refined into its own strength, whether it is resentment or anger. Just now that these grievances were over, David could feel that his strength had improved a lot. After a while, Gu Wenyan woke up from the shock and hurriedly stepped forward and bowed to David. "Thank you, Mr. Chen, for saving your life. I will never forget it." "You're welcome. You and I each ask what we need." David waved his hand. This resentment is absorbed and refined, which is more effective than David's practice for 10 days and a half months. Gu Wenyan was stunned for a moment. He didn't understand what David meant, but he didn't dare to ask in detail. After all, for an immortal like David, many things were incomprehensible to ordinary people. "Mr. Chen, then this dragon chair." Gu Wenyan looked at the dragon chair and asked carefully. "Now this dragon chair has become an ordinary chair, and it has no other use except to satisfy your psychology, but it is a few ancient trees in the yard. You need to take care of them carefully. They are your longevity and health. The foundation of the body." David looked at a few ancient trees outside and said, "It's a pity that this kind of ancient tree can't be transplanted." Otherwise, David really wanted to get a few to go to the top of Pine Bay. The aura emanating from this ancient tree can just help him cultivate. Chapter 36. Okay, I will definitely send someone to take good care of those ancient trees. In addition, I will find the spiritual pen and cinnabar that Mr. Chen needs. I will find it for Mr. Chen. I am very familiar with the true master of Lei Mingguan. Gu Wenyan said. "Then thank you, Gu." David nodded. "It's getting late, I'm going back too." David looked at the time. It was almost noon, and he was going home for dinner. "If Mr. Chen doesn't dislike it, then have a light meal here, and I will order someone to prepare it." Gu Wenyan asked cautiously. The current Gu Wenyan, who has long admired David's 5 bodies, wants to find a chance to curry favor with David. David looked at Gu Wenyan's expression and nodded. That would be annoying the ancients. Don't bother. Gu Wenyan was overjoyed, and immediately ordered people to start preparing meals. In Horrendal Hospital, Jordan's arm has been bandaged, and Delia is taking care of him. "This David, when I get better, I will kill him," Jordan roared, venting the anger in his heart. He interrupted his arm, disturbed his wedding, and made the Shao family a laughingstock in Horrendal. He couldn't swallow this breath. "Brother Lei, don't be angry. I asked Fu Wei to find someone to clean up David. This time, he was looking for Lian Jiazi, and he will definitely beat David to half-death," Delia said while peeling the orange. "If it wasn't for the Su family to block, David would have died a long time ago." Jordan gritted his teeth. His eyes were full of cold light. He took the peeled oranges by Delia and threw them into his mouth. At this moment, Delia's phone rang. After connecting, Delia's expression changed quickly, and then she hung up the phone. "Who?" Jordan asked. Fu Wei called. He said they were beaten by David, and Fu Wei's arm was also broken. Delia frowned. What exactly did David learn in 3 years in prison? How did it change? Do you have to fight like this? Trash. It's your classmates' trash. What kind of trainers and trash they can find. It seems that I have to find it myself. Jordan was even more angry at this time. Looking at Delia in front of him, he pulled over and ripped off his clothes. Brother Lei. Delia screamed. This is in the hospital ward. Jordan doesn't care about that. He needs to vent his anger, but when he was about to vent, he found that he couldn't do anything. Jordan panicked. He didn't understand what was wrong with him. Could it be that if his arm was broken, other places would also be affected? Brother Lei, are you too nervous? Delia asked cautiously. You're numb when you're nervous. Lie down for me. Jordan shoved Delia abruptly and started to work again, but no matter how busy he was, it was useless at all. Cough, cough, cough. At this time, Xiaoyan walked in and saw his son following Delia. His face flushed and he coughed twice. Jordan was startled, and Delia was so scared that she quickly put on her clothes. It's bullshit. Your arm is broken. Can you be so bullshit? Xiaoyan reprimanded Jordan. Jordan lowered his head, but his eyes were full of anger and said, Dad, I want that David to die. I will let him die. Jordan blamed himself on David's head at this time. He broke his arm and caused this. In fact, David did it, but he didn't break his arm, but when he was in the Gung family, David directly disabled Jordan's ability to be a man. Don't worry about this, just take good care of the injury. I want to investigate that David. Lin Tianhu didn't even move him. I want to see if there is any power behind this kid. Although Xiao Yan was also angry, he was not confused yet. He knew that Lin Tianhu would not move David. There must be a reason. Chapter 37. Dad, that kid? Shut up. Before Jordan could finish speaking, Xiao Yan gave him a stern look, so frightened that Jordan didn't dare to say anything. Uncle Xiao, I know David too well. There is no background force. We have been together since college. Her father used to be a civil servant. Delia sorted out her clothes and said to Xiao Yan, You know SCT. Xiao Yan gave Delia a cold look. Women's opinion, if it weren't for you, Leia wouldn't be what she is now. She's a bum. After Xiao Yan finished speaking, he left immediately. As for the wedding of Jordan and Delia, Xiao Yan was actually against it. After all, the two families were not in the same household. Jordan insists on marrying her. Delia's face turned red and white when she was scolded by Xiao Yan, but she didn't dare to refute a word. If you want to marry into a wealthy family, this is the price. This dead David, I will never spare him. After Xiao Yan left, Delia gritted her teeth. She didn't dare to do anything to Xiao Yan and Jordan, so she could only blame David. The Gu family's house, Gu Wenyan, Lin Tianhu, and David were enjoying the wine, and they were quite happy to eat this meal. The servants on the side looked at David's young age, and sat with the two big figures in horrendal, chatting and laughing. All of them were envious. Mr. Chin, today is just a light meal. Tomorrow I will hold a feast at the Regal Hotel, and invite people from Horrendal's two political and business terms to participate. I want to introduce Mr. Chin in person. Gu Wentian said with a proud face. Gu Wentian's meaning was obvious. It was to pave the way for David. After this banquet, no one in Horrendal would dare to provoke David. David wants to refuse. He doesn't want to be too public. He just wants to cultivate and wait for the arrival of July 15th. But David hadn't spoken yet, but Lin Tianhu said, Then I would like to thank Gu Gu on behalf of Mr. Chen. With Gu Gu's introduction, it will be much more convenient for Mr. Chen to work in Horrendal. David saw that Lin Tianhu agreed for him, so he didn't say anything, but nodded slightly, old and polite. After the three exchanged a few more words, David and Lin Tianhu left. Palace Master, this subordinate has just agreed to the invitation for the Palace Master, and I hope that the Palace Master will not blame him. Although our dragon sex Jiatanku has developed rapidly and our power has continued to expand, we are still unable to move an inch when we leave Horrendal. There are still a lot of forces staring at Horrendal, so we can only continue to strengthen our network. In the car, Lin Tianhu whispered to David to explain. David was slightly taken aback. Aren't you the Emperor of the Earth in Horrendal? Is there anyone who dares to oppose you? David didn't understand that Lin Tianhu was a god in Horrendal. Except for politicians, who would dare to provoke Lin Tianhu. After hearing this, Lin Tianhu said with embarrassment on his face, Palace Master, that's just being touted by ordinary people. In addition to our Ji Hall, there are also the Qilong Gang and Xingyue cult in the entire Horrendal, among which the small forces are even more powerful. Countless, we Jiatang and the Qilong Gang are deadly enemies. Every year there will be fights and mutual damage. However, Feng Sihai, the leader of the Qilong Gang, doesn't know where to learn the hard Qigong. I am afraid that he is not his opponent now. David looked at Lin Tianhu, and he could see that Lin Tianhu's life in these years was not particularly good. In the eyes of outsiders, the scenery is just an appearance. People like them are in danger at any time. If someone troubles you, just find me directly. David said lightly. Since Jiatang is his subordinate, of course David can't ignore it. Lin Tianhu was overjoyed. With the words of the Hall Master, I am not afraid of anything. When the Hall Master comes forward, the ghosts and gods will give way, not to mention a mere Feng Sihai. Lin Tianhu was shocked when he saw David destroy the 9 resentful dragons today, and he fell into the ground in admiration. David smiled. He didn't expect that Lin Tianhu's flattering skills were not bad. Chapter 38. After David returned home, his parents were not at home, so he should have gone out for a walk again. In such an environment, it would be better to go out more. No one bothered. David started cultivating in the room. He has to hurry up to cultivate now, because he doesn't know what he will face on July 15th. Although the old Irvin said that that day will give him a big opportunity, who knows whether this opportunity will be accompanied by danger. Sitting cross-legged, silently reciting the condensed heart formula, David's dantian began to slowly rotate, and the surrounding aura was slowly absorbed by David and entered David's body. Even without dinner, David practiced for another night. Call. When David opened his eyes, a cloud of turbid air spewed out of his mouth. I didn't expect the power of this resentful dragon to be so powerful. David clenched his fist lightly, feeling the strong power in his body. David actually broke through. Now David has reached the 5th level of Qi training. You must know that he has been in prison for 3 years and has the guidance of the old master, and he has only broken through to the 4th level of Qi training. It broke through to the 5th floor, which made David overjoyed. David seems to have found a way to cultivate quickly. As long as he absorbs some resentment and hatred, the speed of cultivation will increase exponentially. It's a pity that this kind of thing is hard to come by. Where can I find so many things with resentment and hatred? Taking a breath, David got off the bed and simply tidied up his clothes. Is it Miss Sue? I can't see it, but I can hear you walking. At this time, Barbara's voice came from the living room outside. Auntie, you are really amazing. Sonia smiled. Don't always yell like a young lady, it's more common, just call me Sonia. That's right, you're out, so I'll call you Sonia. Barbara smiled and nodded again and again. You're here to find David, right? He's still in the bedroom and hasn't come out yet. David, hurry up, Sonia is here for you. Barbara shouted towards David's bedroom. Auntie, don't shout, I'll call him. Sonia said, and walked straight to David's bedroom. Barbara almost jumped up in excitement when she heard Sonia walking towards David's bedroom. This kid also tricked me into being an ordinary friend. Will ordinary friends go directly to the bedroom? I really want to see what my future daughter-in-law looks like. Barbara muttered to herself. Wife, let me tell you, Miss Sue's appearance, I am afraid that the whole Horrendal is not so beautiful. Chen Baoguo walked to Barbara's ear and whispered. Really? Barbara was a little surprised. She knew that Chen Baoguo was very picky. When David and Delia were together, Chen Baoguo was resolutely opposed. Now that Chen Baoguo can say that, then Sonia's appearance must not be picked. My son is so talented. He just came out and found such a girlfriend, and he was hiding it from us. Barbara looked proud. Of course, don't look at who the son is with. If there is me in front, our son will be no worse. Chen Baoguo was also very satisfied with David at this time. His gloomy face before was now wearing a smile all day long. Okay, don't blow it, take me out for a walk, and leave a 2-person world for the 2 children. Barbara said, dragging Chen Baoguo out of the villa. On the other side, Sonia pushed the door and walked into David's bedroom. When she saw David standing under the bed in complete clothes, Sonia was stunned. Didn't you already get up? Why, you don't want me to get up, do you want to see me take off my clothes? David said half-jokingly. Bah, who sees the way you take off your clothes? Sonia rolled her eyes at David, but she was still a little excited. David was able to joke with her, which proved that the relationship between the 2 people has obviously improved a lot. I have something to do with you. Come with me. Sonia dragged David away involuntarily. David wanted to ask where to go, but Sonia directly pulled David into the car. But looking at the time, it was still too early for Gu Wenyan to invite him to the banquet, so David let Sonia take him away. Chapter 39. Tianyuan Mall. This is a very famous shopping mall in Horrendal, almost all major brands have it. Seeing Sonia bring herself here, David was a little surprised. Do you want me to go shopping with you? David asked timidly. You must know that it is a very scary thing to accompany a girl to the mall. David once felt it. Back then, he accompanied Delia to the mall for a day, and he already had a psychological shadow. Why, are you not willing to accompany me? Sonia looked at David and asked. That's not it. David shook his head. In fact, David was a little proud to accompany Sonia to the shopping mall. How to say Sonia's identity and appearance are all first class. How many people can accompany such a girl to the shopping mall? People are envious, but David has something to do at noon. He has already promised Gu Wenian that he can't let other people's pigeons go. I still have something to do at noon, I'm afraid it will be delayed. David said truthfully. I don't care about you, the main task now is to accompany me to go shopping. After Sonia finished speaking, she dragged David into the mall. Looking at the dazzling array of products, Sonia dragged David to find the men's clothing area and then gestured on David's body one by one. Are you going to buy me clothes? David was a little surprised. If I don't buy it for you, who will I buy it for? I can't hold any more clothes at home. Sonia said, her hands were not idle. She chose one by one, and finally picked out a suit and put it in David's hand. Go and try. David held the suit and didn't move for a while Sonia urged, What? Let me go in and try it on for you? No. David hurriedly shook his head and hurried into the fitting room. Seeing David so frightened, Sonia laughed, and the tenderness in her eyes became more and more obvious. When David changed clothes and came out, Sonia's eyes suddenly lit up, looking at David up and down, looking a little surprised. I didn't expect your potential to be so great. Wearing this dress, you are obviously much more handsome. Seeing Sonia's narcissistic appearance, David couldn't help but also looked in the mirror and found that he was really handsome. Since he was in prison to practice with the old master, David's material requirements have become less and less. Now that he is out of prison, although he has money, he still wears the old clothes from before. He has never thought about changing his clothes. If he has time to buy clothes, he might as well practice for a while. What are you going to do with me? To the wedding. David asked Sonia. Don't worry about it, this is more important than a wedding. Sonia took David to buy shoes and a watch, and directly dressed David into a tall, rich, and handsome look. As soon as he came, he was at peace. David could only helplessly be dragged around by Sonia, and David had more and more things on his body. Ties, belts, and even a lighter. Sonia spent tens of thousands of yuan to buy one for David. As far as David's outfit is concerned, I'm afraid there are not hundreds of thousands who can't come down. Isn't that a bit too extravagant? David was wearing this outfit and felt that he didn't dare to walk. He couldn't understand what rich people like Sonia thought. What was the point of buying a suit of clothes for hundreds of thousands and a lighter for tens of thousands of dollars? What's so extravagant about it? You used to wear it too shabby. I won't let you wear it like that in the future, or I will be laughed at. Sonia said lightly. But after speaking, Sonia suddenly felt as if she had said something wrong, and her face instantly turned red. And David also heard it and smiled slightly. I wear shabby clothes, why would anyone laugh at you? When David asked, Sonia's face turned even redder, so she could only glare at David and said, I have said in public that I want to be your girlfriend, of course others take it seriously. You dressed shabby, didn't you just slap me in the face? I won't tell you, I'll go to the bathroom, you wait for me here. Sonia made an excuse and left quickly. Chapter 40. David smiled and stood there waiting for Sonia. After seeing David, many girls who passed by turned their eyes back unknowingly. There were even several who came to chat and asked for contact information, but were rejected by David. At this time, on the other side of the mall, Delia and Jiang Wenjing also came to visit the mall. Yesterday, Delia was scolded for her wholeheartedness, so she plans to buy today to make herself feel better. Delia, look quickly, there's a handsome guy standing across from him, you'll be fascinated by looking at the back. Jiang Wenjing said to Delia with some excitement. When Delia heard Jiang Wenjing's words, she hurriedly looked up, and she saw a tall boy wearing a suit, standing straight across from him. Just by looking at the back, he could feel the noble temperament of the boy. Stop being a back kill, right? Delia said in a low voice. Impossible, I can feel it, this must be a handsome guy, Delia. You already have young Master Xiao, and this handsome guy will be handed over to me. After Jiang Wenjing finished speaking, she walked over impatiently. Delia was also curious and hurriedly followed. Handsome guy, are you waiting for someone? Jiang Wenjing stepped forward, patted the boy on the shoulder and asked. But when the boy turned around, Jiang Wenjing and Delia were all stunned on the spot. David, why are you? Jiang Wenjing said in surprise. Delia was also full of shock. She had been with David for several years, and she had never seen David before. It seemed that people really depend on clothes and horses on saddles. "Why can't it be me?" David said with a cold smile when he saw Delia and Jiang Wenjing. "How can you come to this mall? The things here are very expensive." Jiang Wenjing said with a puzzled face. "The things in this mall are very expensive. Ordinary people have no conditions to come." In Jiang Wenjing's eyes, David's family conditions are not even ordinary enough. How can they come to this mall, and the clothes on them seem to be valuable, not cheap? "Is the mall opened by your house? I can come if I want." David unceremoniously choked Jiang Wenjing, and immediately choked Jiang Wenjing to the point of being speechless. "David, as far as you are virtuous, even if a toad wears a dragon robe, you can't become a dragon anyway. I don't know where to buy cheap goods. Come here to pretend to be a girl, bah?" Delia spat fiercely at David. "Whether he can become a dragon, it's not something you chicken can say." Before David could speak, Sonia came over with a bit of coldness on her face. "Wipe off your see for me." Sonia pointed at Delia's spit on David's clothes and said. Seeing that it was Sonia, Delia flinched a bit in her eyes. Compared with Sonia, what is she, Delia, who is the richest lady in Horrendal? But in front of so many people in the mall, they called her a chicken and asked her to clean David's clothes. Of course Delia was not happy. "You, don't be so mean. Don't bully people just because you are the eldest miss of the Su family." Delia tried her best to keep her momentum. "I told you to wipe it off, can't you hear it? You said that if I slap you twice now, would Jordan dare to find me?" The momentum on Sonia's body obviously suppressed Delia, causing Delia's body to shake slightly. Delia knew that Sonia beat her for nothing, and Jordan would not follow the Su family for her. David looked at Delia like that. The corner of his mouth was slightly raised, and he sneered without saying a word. I'll wipe." Seeing this, Jiang Wenjing hurriedly took out a tissue, wanting to replace Delia and wipe it off for David. "What are you? Can you touch my boyfriend too?" Sonia directly pushed Jiang Wenjing away. Jiang Wenjing's face flushed with embarrassment, but she didn't dare to let go of AF.art. Delia didn't dare to provoke Sonia, and she didn't dare. Chapter 41. You bully people too much. You bully us ordinary people because you have money and power. Come and see, Miss Su is bullying people. Delia wouldn't wipe David's clothes. She couldn't get over that hurdle in her heart. David has always been obedient to her, licking dogs, but now she is suddenly asked to bow to David. She can't do it. At this time, Delia pretended to be weak, hoping to get the pity and help of the people around her. Snapped. Just when Delia wanted to seek help from the people around her, Sonia stepped forward and slapped Delia without any hesitation. "What nonsense, I'll let you wipe it off now," Sonia said to Delia in an unquestionable tone. Delia covered her face and looked at the crowd around her, but no one helped out, and she was even a little timid. She had already left in a hurry and did not dare to stay any longer. The helpless Delia looked at Sonia's cold look. She could only take out a tissue, walked slowly to David, and squatted down to wipe the saliva off David's clothes. David looked down at Delia with a sneer on his face, but just when Delia was about to wipe it off for David, David avoided it. Delia was stunned for a moment, then looked up at David. "I'm afraid your hands will stain my clothes." After David finished speaking, he wiped it off with a tissue. Delia's chest heaved angrily. She didn't know how to refute. "Let's go." David took Sonia's hand and strode out of the mall. Delia looked at the backs of the two. Her whole body was shaking with anger. She gritted her teeth and said, "David, you five tard, I will never let you go." But David had already walked out of the mall and couldn't hear it. "You're quite saucy today. It doesn't match your identity as the eldest lady of the Su family. If this is spread out, it won't affect you well." Walking out of the mall, David looked at Sonia and said, "I don't care if she's good or not, I get angry when I see that Delia." Sonia gritted her teeth, and her face was still angry, but then she looked at David. "Are you scared by me?" "No." David smiled and shook his head. "When you show off your power, it's quite tasteful. Since you like it, then I'll be angry with you every day, right?" Sonia turned her eyes. Don't. David waved his hands again and again, and immediately changed the subject and asked, "Where are you taking me by dressing me up like this?" "Today, there is a big banquet at our Regal Hotel, and all the people of Horrendal will be present. I heard that the conditions for participating are very strict, and they are not allowed to bring their families, but this is in our own hotel. I don't need an invitation. Bring you in, so that you can get acquainted with the famous people in Horrendal." Sonia was not selling a lawsuit, and followed David truthfully. After David heard it, he was a little bit dumbfounded. Gu Wenyin held a big banquet for him, and now Sonia wanted to sneak him in. "What are you laughing at? What I said is true, and this time the ancient banquet was held to introduce a friend to the big brothers in Horrendal. Now they are all guessing who this ancient friend is. Do you know how many people want to attend this banquet, but don't have the qualifications and opportunities at all? If the banquet is not held at the Regal Hotel, I have no chance to bring you in, so you have to behave well." Sonia followed David and exhorted. "Okay, I'll do well." David smiled. He didn't tell Sonia the truth, he just wanted to surprise her. Before he knew it, David could also feel the change in his heart towards Sonia. Although neither of the two said anything, there were some things that he could feel, tacitly aware of it. Chapter 42. Horrendal Hospital. Xiao Yan hurried over, threw a suit to Jordan and said, "Put your clothes on and follow me." "Dad, I'm recovering, where should I go?" Jordan asked with a puzzled look. "Take you to a banquet." Xiao Yan said, "Don't go, my arm is broken, and I am recovering from the injury." "What kind of banquet are you attending?" When Jordan heard this, he immediately lost interest. He has attended a lot of banquets, nothing more than eating and drinking, touting each other, and wearing a suit very cautiously. He is not willing to go. "Yubei 5 Tard, do you know who held the banquet this time? It's ancient. The whole of Horrendal has gone. You show me well this time. In the future, the Xiao family's property will be handed over to you. Don't lose me." Xiao Yan slapped Jordan's head and said. When he heard that it was an ancient banquet, Jordan didn't dare to say anything, and hurriedly changed his clothes, but he broke an arm, and Jordan himself couldn't change it at all. "Where's your girlfriend? Where did she go when she's not here to take care of you? Let her change it for you. At 11 o'clock at the Regal Hotel, don't be late for me. I have other things to do." After Xiao Yan finished speaking, he left. Jordan looked at the time and didn't dare to delay. He called Delia and called Delia back directly. At 10:30 at noon, the entire Regal Hotel was full of luxury cars, and people with dignity in the political and business circles arrived early. They greeted each other one by one, then took the invitations in their hands and walked into the hotel one after another. However, those accompanying family members could only wait outside the hotel. The reason why Gu Wendian only invited the helmsman of each family or department for this banquet was to reduce the number of people at the banquet. He was afraid that there would be too many people and it would make a mess, and David was annoyed. Jordan also came with one arm on his back, while Delia supported him. Seeing so many bigwigs at the scene, Delia's heart almost jumped out of excitement. "You stand here for me, don't make trouble for me, this time it's not ordinary people." Xiao Yan exhorted Jordan. "Dad, I'm not going in?" Jordan was stunned and called him, but he was not allowed in. "Nonsense, this banquet invites all the heads of households or leaders at all levels. What qualifications do you have?" Xiao Yan glared at Jordan and said. Jordan suddenly became a little unhappy. "Don't let me in, why do you call me here? I'll be sunburned to death." Listening to Jordan's words, Xiao Yan really wanted to give him 2 kicks. There are so many people waiting outside. Could it be that these are all fools? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It is always good for the development of our company to make more friends, but it is a pity that Jordan will eat, drink, and have fun, regardless of other things. Remember, if I can't see you when I come out, I will cut off your pocket money for half a year. Xiao Yan threatened Jordan. He was really afraid that Jordan would run back if he was unhappy. Hearing that half a year's pocket money was cut off, Jordan shuddered in fright and nodded again and again. "I'm not leaving, I'll stay here." Xiao Yan walked into the hotel with confidence. Jordan and Delia could only bask in the sun at the door. At this time, David and Sonia also arrived. Wait for me here, I'll make arrangements, and we'll sneak in through the back door in a while. After getting off the car, Sonia said to David. David nodded. Sonia went to arrange it, while David stood there a little bored. These people came from the upper class, and David didn't know any of them, so he could only play with his mobile phone in a boring way. The sharp-eyed Delia saw David at a glance. Seeing that David was unattended and playing with her mobile phone, Delia sneered suddenly. Brother Lay, isn't that David? Is he worthy of attending the banquet? Delia whispered to Jordan. Chapter 43. Jordan looked at it and saw that it was David. A cold light flashed in his eyes and walked over. Seeing this, Delia hurriedly followed, staring at David with resentment in her eyes. Delia still remembers the scene in the mall just now. David, are you even worthy of coming here? Do you know what kind of people are here? Jordan looked at David with an air of arrogance. When you wear new clothes, you think you are you high class? David gave Jordan a cold look, but did not take care of him. David, what about the frenzied appearance in the mall? What about your beautiful Miss Sue? Why didn't she take you in? Can't she even get in by herself? Bah. Delia spat fiercely again. David took a sip. This time Jordan was there. She couldn't believe it and dared to let her wipe it off. David's face was slightly cold. Remember, I will make you lick it off like a dog in a while. Ha bah. Delia laughed and spit again. Who do you think you are? And let me lick it off for you. Aren't you a prisoner of labor reform? What's amazing? Everyone, take a look. A labor prisoner even dressed like a dog and wanted to go to a banquet, and he didn't take a piss to take care of himself. Delia shouted, attracting many people to watch. David looked indifferent, quietly watching Delia's hard-working performance. Jordan, who is this person? Look at the face. At this time, a young man of the same age as Jordan asked. You must know that the people who come here are all people with heads and faces in Horrendal, or family members, who know or have met each other. But looking at David's face, he didn't look like someone from the upper-class circle, so someone asked Jordan curiously. He is my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. He was my girlfriend's licking dog for 3 years, and he didn't even pull his hand. Later, I got him into prison and served 3 years in prison. It was just 2 days ago. Jordan explained with a sneer. Jordan said this, and the people around him cast contempt at David. People with noble status like them disdained to stand with David, a prisoner of reform through labor. Everyone avoided David far away, whispering and sarcastic, but David looked indifferent, as if he hadn't heard it. David, you have a thick skin in the prison. You are already like this. Do you still have the face to stay here? Seeing that David didn't seem to care, Delia said with a cold expression. David. At this moment, Sonia had already made arrangements and walked over. When she saw Delia and Jordan, she frowned. What are you two doing here? Of course we are here for the banquet. Delia said proudly. With Jordan by her side, she doesn't need to be afraid of Sonia. Sonia laughed when she heard it. Why don't you go in at the banquet? Is there no invitation, so you won't be allowed in at all? Delia opened her mouth, but didn't say anything, because they really couldn't get in without an invitation. Seeing Delia's deflated appearance, Sonia raised the corner of her mouth slightly, took David's hand and said, Come on, let's go in. Seeing that Sonia and David were going in, Delia was taken aback. Do you have invitations? I won't tell you, Sonia said with a proud smile. Delia was about to die of anger, but when she saw Sonia and David walking towards the back door, she immediately reacted, Brother Lay, they are planning to sneak in from the back, and they have no invitations. Jordan also found out, and hurriedly stepped forward to stop David and Sonia. You two don't have invitations, how can you sneak in through the back door? I want to report you. Jordan, are you a slacker? This regal hotel belongs to our family. I can enter wherever I like. I jump in from the window, can you control it? Sonia glanced at Jordan and said with a look of evil. Jordan was suddenly choked and had nothing to say. You guys take good care of the two of them. If they dare to enter through the back door, call me out. Sonia told several security guards. Got it, miss? Several security guards directly stared at Delia and Jordan. Sonia dragged David into the hotel through the back door, and looking at the backs of the two, Jordan and Delia stomped their feet angrily. Chapter 44. After David entered the hotel, he sent a message to Lin Tianhu, asking Lin Tianhu to drive Xiao Yan away. He didn't want to sit and eat with the Xiao family, and he didn't want the Xiao family to know too much about his identity. Let's see how long Jordan and Delia can jump. Inside the hotel, everyone surrounded Gu Wenyan with respect, and some people knew that Gu Wenyan likes to collect antiques, so they searched everywhere and then came to give it to Gu Wenyan. Beside Gu Wenyan, a burly middle-aged man with a grim face is always vigilant. This person is Gu Wentian's personal bodyguard Tang Long, who once retired from the Dragon Squadron and once Gu Wenyan was still in power. At that time, he would protect himself closely. Now that Gu Wenyan has retreated, Tang Long has also retreated, protecting Gu Wentian's safety all the time. As long as Gu Wenyan attends public occasions, he will always take Tang Long by his side to protect his own safety. Everyone, I am entertaining you today. One is not to receive gifts, and the other is not to talk about things. I just want to introduce a new friend to you. You don't have to be too cautious. Gu Wenyan waved his hand to make everyone quiet, and then said loudly. In fact, many people have heard about it for a long time, but now that Gu Wenyan said it again, everyone couldn't help but be surprised. They didn't know what kind of terrifying background the person introduced by Gu Wenyan would have. Not so much fanfare. Why hasn't Mr. Chen come yet? Gu Wenyan looked at the time and asked Lin Tianhu beside him. Maybe soon. Lin Tianhu didn't know why David hadn't arrived yet, but he said it well yesterday. As soon as Lin Tianhu finished speaking, the phone rang. Seeing that it was David's message, Lin Tianhu gave Gu Wenyan a look at the message. Gu Wenyan looked at the message and nodded slightly. No wonder Mr. Chen hasn't shown up yet, so that's what happened. I didn't think it through. After Gu Wenyan finished speaking, he glanced at Xiao Yan, who was not far away. At this time, Xiao Yan was also waiting for the young man Gu Wenyan said to appear. The person who could be so important to Gu Wenyan was definitely not an ordinary person. If they can cling to such a person, the Xiao family might be able to surpass the Su family. Just as Xiao Yan was thinking, Gu Wenyan looked at him and said, "Boss Xiao." Gu. When Xiao Yan heard this, he hurriedly stepped forward. What is Gu's order? Today's banquet, you are not suitable to attend, go back. In front of everyone, Gu Wenyan directly ordered Xiao Yan to evict him. When Xiao Yan heard this, he was stunned and looked at Gu Wenyan in disbelief. Ancient. But Gu Wenyan didn't wait for Xiao Yan to finish speaking, he directly waved his hand, see off the guest. Seeing this, Xiao Yan was very surprised, but he couldn't stay here any longer, so he could only helplessly turn around and leave. This time, everyone speculated that the Xiao family had offended Gu. At this time, Sonia had sneaked in with David, and the two of them were watching secretly in a corner. Let's hide first, the banquet will start in a while, and we are going out, so that it will not be easy to be discovered. Sonia sneaked her head out and looked at it and said, Why do you hide? Since you're in, it would be nice to go out generously. After David finished speaking, he went straight out. Sonia was startled and hurried forward to pull David, but she didn't hold back. Coming. After seeing David, Lin Tianhu said happily. Gu Wenyan raised his eyes and saw David coming. His expression suddenly brightened, and he quickly walked towards David. At this time, Reuben, who was in the crowd, saw David appear, and Gu Wenyan walked towards David, and suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. This was what he asked Sonia to sneak into David. If Gu Wenyan knew about it now, would it still be worth it? Chapter 45. Reuben quickly walked to the front, winked desperately at David, told David to leave quickly, and then stopped Gu Wenyan. Gu, this person is a waiter in our hotel, he should go the wrong way, run come here. Sonia had already caught up with David at this time, dragged David and left and said, How do you work? Don't look at the road, come here. Wait a minute. Gu Wenyan called out to Sonia directly. Sonia stopped, and then let go of David in her hands. Gu, it was my poor arrangement that let the servants break in, and I will give Gu an explanation later. Reuben broke out in a cold sweat, for fear that Gu Wenyan would be angry. Gu Wenyan was stunned. You said that Mr. Chin is a servant of your family? Yeah. Reuben nodded, but was quickly taken aback. Mr. Chin? Reuben didn't understand. How did Gu Wenian know that David's surname was Chin? Why do you still call Mr.? Yes, my banquet this time is mainly to invite Mr. Chin, you are just to accompany. Gu Wentian nodded. This time, Reuben and Sonia were a little stunned and couldn't figure out what was going on. Ancient, hope I'm not too late? David took 2 steps forward and smiled slightly. Mr. Chin came at the right time, I don't know this is. Gu Wenian pointed at Sonia behind David and asked. Ancient, this is the little girl, she is friends with Mr. Chin. Reuben is indeed an old man who has been in the mall for a long time, and he reacted immediately. When Gu Wenian heard this, he immediately laughed. Heroes and beautiful women are the perfect match in the world. After Gu Wentian said this, the others praised David and Sonia one after another. Sonia blushed so brightly that she didn't dare to look up. Mr. Chin, please take your seat, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Lin Tianhu stepped forward and followed David in a gesture of invitation. David was also not polite and walked straight to the main seat. A group of people swarmed around David. Although they didn't know who David was, what they could know was that David would definitely be a powerful person in Horrendal in the future. Figure. Gu Wenin and Lin Tianhu are both such respectful people, and they are also the son-in-law of the richest man, the Su family. Who would dare to offend such a person? Reuben and Sonia looked at each other and followed. After David was seated, Gu Wenian sat beside David, while the other side was empty, no one dared to do it. Miss Su, this place is reserved for you, you two should sit together. Gu Wenian waved after Sonia with a smile on his face. Sonia blushed and sat beside David shyly. Sonia's next position was Reuben. Originally, it was supposed to be for Lin Tianhu, but now if David and Sonia are boyfriend and girlfriend, then Reuben is David's. Old man, Lin Tianhu dare not sit on top of Reuben. After everyone was seated, Gu Wenian picked up a glass of wine and said to David, Mr. Chen, this first glass of wine, I will be the first to salute you. Gu Wenian knew very well that after he had toasted the first cup of wine, he would not need to take care of the rest of the matter. None of the people sitting here would know what to do. Old polite. David picked up the glass and drank it lightly. Just when David put down his wine glass, Gu Wenian was suddenly stunned, because he saw that David's brand new suit was actually spat on. Mr. Chen, your clothes are? Gu Wenian pointed at the spittle on David's clothes and asked. This is when I was outside and was spat twice by someone with no quality. David said lightly. Who is so bold to spit Mr. Chen? Gu Wentian's face was angry, his eyes swept to everyone present. You must know that those people outside are sitting on the family members brought by these people, so Gu Wenian will look at the people present. At this time, everyone's hearts suddenly bulged, and their hearts continued to bless, hoping that it wasn't their own family who did it. Chapter 46. Ancient, it was the girlfriend of Jordan, the son-in-law of the Xiao family. That woman used to be Mr. Chen's girlfriend, and now she is next to the Xiao family. She feels like a superior person, so she spat at Mr. Chen. Sonia said, The Xiao family, you are really brave, I will call that Xiao Yan to ask now. Gu Wenian frowned and slapped the table fiercely. He also knew why David sent a message to drive that Xiao Yan away. It turned out that there was such a festival with the Xiao family. And the people present also understood in an instant. This time they knew that the Xiao family was going to be unlucky. It seems that the business dealings with the Xiao family should be cut off quickly. Ancient, calm down, this kind of trivial matter, I can handle it myself. David smiled lightly, not paying attention at all. At this time, Jordan and Delia were like ants in his eyes. Outside the hotel, the poisonous sunlight made Jordan a little upset. Brother Lei, drink some water. Delia handed Jordan a bottle of water. Jordan took a big gulp, rubbed the sweat on his forehead, and muttered softly, I can't go in, what are you waiting for here? I'm really sick. Although he complained, Jordan did not dare to leave. He was really afraid that his father would cut off his pocket money for half a year. Just when Jordan was drinking water, he found that his father came out of the hotel. Jordan was overjoyed and hurriedly said, My dad is out, we must be able to go in. Jordan and Delia hurriedly greeted him. Dad, why did you come out? Can we go in now? Jordan asked excitedly. Go in the F.Art, I've been kicked out. Xiao Yan said angrily. Jordan was stunned for a moment and then said, Dad, what's going on? Why did you drive you out? How would I know? Xiao Yan glared at Jordan angrily. Don't be ashamed here, go back with me. He came in a hurry, and now he can only go back in despair. Jordan and Delia didn't even go in the door. The banquet has already started, and after about 2 hours, the banquet is coming to an end. Everyone's face is red and the conversation is very happy. David, when did you meet Gu? And Gu was so polite to you. You are the protagonist of this banquet, and you didn't even tell me. Finally, Sonia seized the opportunity, pulled David aside, and asked very dissatisfied. At that time, you took me away in a hurry, and you didn't say that you came to the banquet? I found out later, and I wanted to surprise you. David laughed. Your surprise is really big, I was scared to death at the time. You are so bad, you can't hide anything from me in the future. Sonia punched David in the chest. The force was very light, it was completely flirtatious. David grabbed Sonia's hand, and the two looked at each other. No words, no communication, only eye contact. David slowly approached Sonia. Sonia wanted to hide, but did not move. Her heart was very contradictory. Seeing that David was about to K, Sonia closed her eyes and waited for that moment to come. You got something on your face? But just as Sonia was nervously waiting for that moment, David suddenly said such a sentence. Sonia opened her eyes and saw David looking at herself with a wicked smile. Damn, I'm ignoring you. Sonia punched David fiercely and ran away blushing. At this time, Ruben watched his daughter run away with a blushing face, also smiled slightly, and walked towards David. Mr. Chin, do you have any plans for your future? Do you want to start your own company? Ruben asked David. David immediately shook his head. I don't want to. David wants to cultivate now and improve his strength as soon as possible. As for starting a company and doing business, David really doesn't like it, nor is he good at it. Chapter 47. Seeing David shaking his head so happily, Ruben was stunned for a moment, but he quickly smiled and said, That's okay, this girl Sonia doesn't look like a girl, but she is very good at running a company and doing business, just have her. After Ruben finished speaking, he left. David looked at Ruben's back and smiled helplessly. He could understand what Ruben thought. After all, he is only Sonia's daughter. In the future, all business will be handed over to Sonia. If he and Sonia really come together, such a large business will always need someone to support him. Soon, everyone was full and ready to leave, saying goodbye to each other. But at this moment, the door of the banquet was suddenly pushed open, and then dozens of people broke in, all of them holding weapons. Seeing these people who suddenly broke in, everyone present was shocked, but Gu Wentian's face turned cold, and Tang Long, the bodyguard beside him, rushed directly to his waist and pulled out a half-foot-long machete, guarding Gu Wentian. In front of you. Security? Where's the security? Seeing someone rushing in, Ruben shouted loudly, but no security guard came in. Mr. Su, don't shout, none of your security guards can get in. The visitor said coldly. Feng Sihai, you suddenly brought someone in, what do you want to do? You must know that this is a banquet prepared by the ancients. Ruben asked loudly. It turns out that these people are all members of the Qilong gang, and the leader is Feng Sihai. Feng Sihai walked quickly to Gu Wentian, bowed and said, Gu, I don't mean to disturb, I just came to find Lin Tianhu. At this time, Lin Tianhu had already clenched his fists, and as soon as Feng Sihai entered the door, he knew he was here for him. Jiyatang and Qilong gang are mortal enemies, and the two are also deadly enemies, but for the time being, no one can do anything to the other. Usually, Lin Tianhu would bring many brothers to attend meetings, but this time around Gu Wentian, Lin Tianhu was a little careless and didn't bring his subordinates. Another reason was that David was there, so Lin Tianhu was relieved. This Feng Sihai must have received the news, so he brought people here. As long as Lin Tianhu is killed, Jiyatang will be headless, and will soon be annexed by the Qilong gang. I don't care who you are looking for, but can you break into my banquet at will? Gu Wentian asked with a cold face. Ancient, as I said, I was just looking for Lin Tianhu to settle accounts, and breaking in was a last resort. Feng Sihai said respectfully. B5 tard. Gu Wenin suddenly slapped the table. Are you trying to go against me? Ancient, I don't want to fight against you, but I also don't want to let Lin Tianhu go. This kind of opportunity is a rare opportunity. Besides, for such an important banquet in ancient times, only Lin Tianhu was invited, but Feng Sihai was not invited. This is obviously because I don't like my qilong. Help. Feng Sihai said, neither humble nor arrogant, obviously because Gu Wenyan didn't invite him. The reason why Gu Wenyan didn't invite Feng Sihai at that time was because the hatred between him and Lin Tianhu was too deep and it was not convenient to come here. Feng Sihai, are you? Gu Wentian's face flushed with anger when he saw that Feng Sihai was not giving face. But before he could finish speaking, Lin Tianhu stood up and said, the husband does everything alone, and since you came after me, let's compare. After Lin Tianhu finished speaking, he immediately took a stance, ready to respond to Feng Sihai's attack at any time. There is a kind, then I will kill you today and take your jiatang into the bag. Feng Sihai said, striding towards Lin Tianhu. Chapter 48. Presumptuous. Gu Wenin slapped the table fiercely, and his whole body was full of anger. Everyone present was frightened by Gu Wentian's anger. Tang Long, who was beside Gu Wenin, saw Gu Wentian's anger. He jumped up and landed firmly in front of Lin Tianhu. Feng Sihai, don't give the old face, you are courting death. Tang Long burst out with a strong fighting spirit, and the bones on his body were crackling. Feng Sihai stopped attacking, frowned and looked at Tang Long. Tang Long, if you fight to the death today, you may not be able to beat me, not to mention that I still have dozens of subordinates. Whether you can win or not, you will only know if you try. Tang Long snorted coldly and took a stand. Ancient, I didn't want to be an enemy of you, but you keep pushing me, and I'm not easy to mess with the Qilong gang. It's a big deal, and no one here will want to go out alive. A cold glow flashed in Feng Sihai's eyes, and it seemed that he had already made desperate preparations. Gu Wentian's face was flushed, and his whole body was trembling slightly by Feng Sihai's anger. No one in Horrendal did not give him face, but today Feng Sihai has made him lose face. However, looking at the dozens of murderous subordinates behind Feng Sihai, Gu Wenin was also a little embarrassed. Feng Sihai had come prepared, he was going to get into trouble, things were really not easy to handle. Ancient, let me and Feng Sihai make a break today, you all don't care. Lin Tianhu saw that Gu Wenin was in a dilemma, and after speaking, he took the initiative to attack Feng Sihai. Lin Tianhu punched out, with a whistling sound, extremely fast, and his strength exploded to the extreme. He knew that fighting with Feng Sihai could not have the slightest reservation. When Feng Sihai saw that Lin Tianhu actually took the initiative to attack, his face suddenly sneered. He did not dodge or dodge, facing Lin Tianhu's punch. But Lin Tianhu smashed Feng Sihai's chest with a punch, and a huge counterattack caused Lin Tianhu to step back 3 steps. But Feng Sihai didn't move at all, not even injured at all. Lin Tianhu's face was a little pale, and he looked at Feng Sihai in horror. At this time, Feng Sihai's strength has increased a lot. Lin Tianhu, your punch is like tickling, don't stop, keep hitting? Feng Sihai raised his head and laughed loudly, not taking Lin Tianhu into his eyes at all. Lin Tianhu is also considered a hero, and he can't stand Feng Sihai's public humiliation and provocation. After shouting angrily, he walked towards Feng Sihai again, but this time Lin Tianhu grabbed a solid wood stool. But the stool slammed into Feng Sihai's body and instantly shattered, while Feng Sihai was still standing lightly, not moving. Lin Tianhu, my hard qigong has been completed, you can't hurt me, now it's my turn. After Feng Sihai finished speaking, he kicked at Lin Tianhu. Lin Tianhu couldn't dodge, and was kicked out by Feng Sihai. A mouthful of blood spurted out and fell to the ground. The severe pain made Lin Tianhu's face extremely hideous. Looking at Lin Tianhu's appearance, David frowned and was about to get up, but was stopped by Sonia. Don't be arrogant, this guy seems to be very good at fighting, you are not necessarily an opponent. Sonia is afraid that David can't beat Feng Sihai and is injured. She still doesn't know the relationship between David and Lin Tianhu. No matter how powerful Feng Sihai is, David will not sit idly by. Before David could do anything, Gu Wenyin said, "Tang Long, teach him a lesson." Tang Long nodded, clenched his fists, and rushed directly to Feng Sihai. In the face of Tang Long's attack, Feng Sihai will not be so relaxed, and he will not dare to stand and let others hit him. You must know that Tang Long's punch, whether it is strength or speed, is stronger than Lin Tianhu and has reached the extreme. Chapter 49. Feng Sihai turned sideways, dodging Tang Long's punch, and after dodging Tang Long, Feng Sihai did not take action, but looked at Gu Wendian and said, "Gu, I said that I don't want to be your enemy, do you want to force me?" Gu Wentian's face was gloomy and he didn't speak. And that Tang Long was so easily escaped by Feng Sihai, he suddenly felt that his face was completely lost, and he said angrily, "Stop talking nonsense, take the trick." Tang Long swung his fist backwards and threw it directly at Feng Sihai. If this punch hits, his brains will be thrown out. Feng Sihai's eyes narrowed, and his face was also angrily said, "If that's the case, then I'm welcome." After finishing speaking, Feng Sihai, a catcher, grabbed Tang Long's wrist directly, and then swung it towards Tang Long with a left hook. Tang Long was startled, his head turned slightly to the side, and then kicked out, trying to force Feng Sihai back. But Feng Sihai didn't hide, and let Tang Long kick him in the chest. The huge anti-shock force made Tang Long's body directly fly out. Tang Long managed to stabilize his body, but looking at the surprised expressions of the people around him, he suddenly burst into anger. "Feng Sihai, today must be divided between you and me." With that said, Tang Long charged towards Feng Sihai again. "Stop!" Just as Tang Long rushed towards Feng Sihai, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Tang Long and stopped Tang Long directly. "You are not his opponent, and it is meaningless to fight. I will come." David stopped Tang Long and said. Tang Long felt a burst of humiliation and said sternly, "Let's go, with your physique. I'm afraid that one punch will kill you." At this time, Tang Long had already lost his mind, and he even spoke rudely to David. He had forgotten the identity of David. That was an existence that even Gu Wentian respected. However, Tang Long has not seen David's ability, so in his heart, he does not have much respect for David, just because of Gu Wentian's face. The way of martial arts is gradually advancing. David is only a young man in his early 20s. Even if he learns martial arts from his mother's womb, how powerful can he be? "Shut up, B5 Tard, you dare to be disrespectful to Mr. Chin?" Gu Wenyin immediately reprimanded Tang Long when he saw that Tang Long had spoken unkindly to David. You must know that Gu Wenyin seldom taught Tang Long, and never regarded Tang Long as a servant, but today Tang Long actually said, "David, how could Gu Wenyin dare to let him have his temper?" Tang Long closed his mouth, but he didn't have much respect for David in his eyes. What he was afraid of was Gu Wenyin, not David. At this time, Sonia also came up, pulled David and said, "Don't be rude, don't you see that even Lin Tianhu and Tang Long are not opponents? You are a medical student, don't follow me." Sonia thought that David only knew medical skills and nothing else. "Today is such a suitable occasion, I should show it well, otherwise, how can I be a poor boy like you, the eldest daughter of gold?" When Sonia heard this, her face suddenly became shy. This was the first time David said such a thing in public. Wouldn't that be the same as confessing to her? "I don't care what you look like, I just don't let you take risks." Sonia took David's arm and prevented David from doing it. "Hurry up and step back, your fists and feet have no eyes, it's not your time to be brave." Seeing that David came up to show himself, Tang Long said with a look of disdain. After speaking, Tang Long jumped up again and attacked Feng Sihai. "Hey, it said that you are not an opponent, but you are beaten up, you are really stubborn." David shook his head helplessly. "Stop talking, go back." Sonia pulled David to sit back again. Tang Long jumped up this time, but just as he moved forward he was kicked on the chest by Feng Sihai, and blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. Gu Wenyin and the people present watched this scene, each and everyone was shocked. Chapter 50. Tang Long's face was also hot. He could clearly feel that Feng Sihai didn't use all his strength, but as Gu Wentian's personal bodyguard, and in front of so many people, Tang Long's face really had no place to rest. Now he would rather be beaten to death by Feng Sihai than admit defeat. You must know that people who practice martial arts regard their face as more important than their lives. If he admits defeat today, his reputation in the future of Tang Long will also stink. I am afraid that he will not want to mix in the circle in the future. Gu Wentian will not be there either. Use him. Feng Sihai, use all your strength. I can die today, but I must not lose. After Tang Long finished speaking, his face became flushed, and his body began to slowly swell up. Storm Fist. Tang Long let out a loud shout, and his bulging body seemed to be deflated in an instant, and it recovered as before, but Tang Long's body rushed out like a cannonball. Feng Sihai frowned. It seems that you won't give up if you don't show the trick. Feng Sihai squatted slightly with his legs, and cracks appeared on the marble floor under his feet, but Feng Sihai's clothes rose automatically without wind. I fought with you. Tang Long's eyes began to turn a little scarlet, and he punched Feng Sihai fiercely. But the huge sound, like thunder in the sky, made everyone cover their ears. Feng Sihai didn't move, he didn't even shake his figure, let alone injured. Tang Long was stunned for a moment, but then the rainstorm-like fist fell on Feng Sihai. Bang bang bang. It's almost there. Feng Sihai finished speaking and punched out. But the two fists collided, and Tang Long's body flew out instantly, hitting the ground heavily, and he couldn't get up for a while. This time, everyone was dumbfounded, and Gu Wentian also grew his mouth in shock. Lin Tianhu's body trembled slightly. He did not expect Feng Sihai's strength to be so strong. Lin Tianhu, who was trembling in his heart, secretly set his eyes on David. Now, I am afraid that only David can hold down that Feng Sihai. Tang Long, who fell to the ground, tried his best to get up, but he failed twice. You? Who did you learn your hard Qigong from? Tang Long asked in shock. Yi Feng Chun, do you know each other? Feng Sihai stood up straight and said. Hearing this name, Tang Long's face suddenly changed greatly. He looked very afraid, and Lin Tianhu's body was shaking like a sieve. Obviously this person, they both know each other, and they are amazing. However, the others did not respond, apparently unfamiliar with this name. Who is Master Yi? Tang Long asked. That's my master, and I learned this hard Qigong from him. As soon as Feng Sihai's voice fell, Tang Long suddenly looked depressed, sighed, and shook his head slightly. No wonder I'm not your opponent. It turns out that you have already apprenticed to Master Yi. I admit defeat. Tang Long actually conceded defeat. He, who was going to work hard, conceded defeat when he heard the words Yi Feng Chun. David frowned slightly, looked at Lin Tianhu and said, Who is this Yi Feng Chun? Mr. Chen, Yi Feng Chun is a master of ancient martial arts with very strong internal strength. No one knows his true strength. I heard that Master Yi is now able to pick leaves and hurt people. When Lin Tianhu talked about Yi Feng Chun, his heart was still full of lingering fears. Pickling leaves hurts people? David smiled slightly. Is that so? David said, picked up a toothpick, flicked his fingers, and the toothpick instantly shot at Feng Sihai. Feng Sihai didn't have time to react at all. He was instantly hit by a toothpick on his arm, and only a small section of the whole toothpick was still exposed.